isn't everything, it's more just like a rough draft of what we are going to say.
You got it.
Just still start with introductions and stuff.
Right. I'm just going to pull this up on my phone real quickly to make sure the audio is working the way it's supposed to be working. Because I know sometimes when I have like my video game audio going, I have like my, you know how like sometimes I'll have like my desktop audio and it might bleed over and you might hear the ding from Discord pop up. It's happened a few times on my live streams before, if you can believe that. So
yeah.
I'm just going to go over here.
And remember that it's okay to bring up like a detour every now and then. You don't have to like be like upfront and serious all the time. You can always, have some little off-topic moments and stuff like that. That can still happen. Quint fashion, I'd imagine that fits your style as well. Also, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, I just was just testing out the audio.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. I just realized that when I was saying it. I just need to finish up this point.
Hold on. Go ahead, sorry.
I like. It's like,
hey, we have another commenter. Someone's actually watching us, bro. Hello, Johnny Joestar. We're just doing some setup here.
Oh, okay. So it's like if you have any, say, like any off-topic moments, it's like that is fine. Like you don't have to stick to the outline. The outline is just a simplified format. Obviously, everything on the outline will have to be covered, but not like in an overly, like you can still bring up points that are
it's not gospel. We can just sort of wing it, but as long as we just maintain the general focus, it should work out.
Well, no, like you still have to cover everything on the outline. You just can't. Well, as you just don't have to focus on the outline all the time.
All right, I gotcha. All right,
you basically my point is that you can go off topic.
Okay, I gotcha.
That is fine.
All right. Hello, everyone! Welcome back to Amestris Audio. We had about 2 minutes there setting up, but that's a-okay. I'm Quint866.
Okay.
And this is Kadashiki.
Oh, wow. I just had myself introduced to me. Lovely.
I was trying to fill in the time, bro. Okay. Alrighty. Well, as we made it no secret before, we were talking about that outline. We should probably say right now that this video is going to be covering much more than our usual podcast. I mean, I literally titled it Ready, Steady, Go because we're going to be covering the episodes that play during the intro of Ready, Steady, Go.
That's actually a neat idea. That's actually a neat idea. I gotta give you credit for that.
My idea, like that's the thing. When I have ideas that come in clutch, they absolutely come in clutch. Like that one time I had my Mage Athos tank in like the end game of Fire Emblem 7 and it just somehow worked. Never did I think a mage unit would be able to tank, but that's besides the point.
Here, is my mic working okay? Like, is it all like...
Yeah, I can hear you totally fine.
Weird. Okay.
You know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm just going to real quickly pull up the audio on YouTube again. Okay, you might hear yourself a second here. Doesn't hurt to double check. And it just somehow worked. Never did I think a mage unit would be able to tank, but that's besides the point.
Here, is my mic working okay? Like, is it all...
Yep, you sound louder than me, so that's a good sign.
See. Okay. So now that we've had the repeated cycle to bore the audience, this is very necessary screen time, by the way.
Hey, it's more necessary than fucking silica. Talk about a waste of 24 minutes. I literally did not need episode 4 of Minecraft to waste my goddamn time on this stupid, dumb, pointless character.
Actually, Silica's a 10 out of 10.
No, she's not!
He did something at one point. She did something in episode 4. She screamed for Kirito's help. See?
I don't know if that.
See?
I don't know if that got through. I was making like a grunting noise. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my god. I didn't think that would be picked up by the mic. God, I can't wait to play that noise back and hear how stupid I sounded. All right.
All right. Let's talk about how O3 sucks.
Let's talk about how O3 somehow. So last time we did Full Metal versus Fire, so that means we're on episode 14 now, right?
Oh, there's actually things I do need to bring up from the previous thing.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. I don't think we. Okay, here's the thing. I know that you do not watch some credits, like some, EDs or.
Are you talking about the one that has that one different frame in that one episode?
Wait, what?
Are you talking about the time in Night of the Chimera's Cry where they have a frame of Nina Tucker appear at the end of the credits?
No, I'm talking about like the ED in general, because we didn't really talk about it. Although here's the thing: is
I don't think we talked about Melissa either, though. Did we? Ah!
We did. We did.
Sorry, a fly buzzed in my face.
We actually spoke about that for like the first episode.
Yeah, we did. Okay, I guess my memory's just a little hazy then.
Or I don't know if we did it the second time, but we definitely did it the first, and I think that's fine enough.
Oh yeah, and to think we've been talking. Oh my god! Okay, wait. Before you go on that, I just want to say right now, I find it so funny how we've talked about like the first 13 episodes of FMA on videos for the longest time, and now we're finally past that. Like, it's crazy. We had what? No, I think just going off of my rough memory, we talked about like early 03 on 3 different streams. It's crazy.
We're coming up for some uncharted territory, of course.
Uncharted territory? I'm sorry, I'm just teasing you. Territory. Scrack! Probably want a cracker! Alright. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That came out of nowhere.
I don't know, I'm trying to be funny. You know me, I got that lively, charismatic sense of humor.
That was as unexpected as the war twist that comes way later on.
Spoilers! I'm kidding.
I mean, people are gonna watch O3 podcasts. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure
honestly,
that no
they
one
should be
would
caught
be
up
like,
if they're listening to this. I mean, literally, why would you like? That's kind of the thing with reviews. Actually, like, I don't understand how you can do a spoiler-free review, like for a video game. Okay, yeah, I mean, you can do a spoiler-free review for a video game, but for an anime, like, anime is purely stories. So, like,
you're going to bring up future points. It's only natural. Yeah. Now we have to speed up this conversation because we have a lot of episodes to cover.
You think?
So although I do need to stick to the outline. So the first ending, the first credits, I think is also fantastic. It's something Kunsai. I can't remember. It's a weird name. It's got like a green tint to it. I love it because it's got like a memorable background, and it's like Ed sitting by like, I think it's like a campfire. And
some sort of like graveyard or junkyard or something.
Yeah. Also, your mic has got a little.
Is this a little better? Sorry. Sometimes when I move my head to the side, my microphone doesn't quite pick it up. So if that ever happens, just let me know and I'll say what I said again.
I'll definitely need to. So, and then, I should shift immediately into ending 2, which is Ed also, yeah, you were right, it was a graveyard thing. So ending 2 has Ed with green hair.
Yeah, he does, huh? I'm actually looking at it right now.
Something else.
Also, Winry holding a chocolate mug next to a doggo.
I actually really like that ending because it has like yeah, like the One Ray stuff. She's it's a vibe, very very chill, very, and also Ed looks badass. Ed looks badass in that shot where he's
standing in the
he is
snow.
just
Owl has like snowflakes on him in the
posing
background. That one.
for the camera. Yes, yes, yes. I also really like the snowflake touch. It's very very nice. But yeah, I'm seeing meaningless things. So okay, the opening. Okay, so do you have any thoughts on those credits?
Honestly, you've said most of what I need to say. I mean, like you said, I don't really. Here's the thing: when I usually watch credits, now, okay, you're gonna think I'm a heretic for saying it,
Mm,
but most of the time when credits happen, I use this time to either like seeing as I'm a little bit out of shape, I usually do like push-ups, crunches,
right.
jumping jacks, or whatever. I find a way to exercise or maybe grab a snack, maybe use the restroom. I mean, I do watch them. I do watch them, but I'm
Mm.
not paying attention to them. Like
I
my
mean,
eyes aren't as glued to the screen as with
mm,
the openings. I will say though, one thing about this actually okay. I already talked about how the last opening, the one before season 1 or with
mm-hmm,
Melissa, had that one frame of Nina in the one for the Night of the Chimera's Cry. Kind of a
yeah,
sick little detail. Something I will say about this credit scene, though, is you know those shots that look like they're hand drawn? They have like a hand drawn
yeah,
rainbow shot of like Roy wearing his hat. You have
mm-hmm,
Ed, Al. There's one that's actually, I'm assuming to be the transmutated Trisha Elric. It's upside down. It's got the glowing red eyes, the skeleton mouth. That thing looks sick. I'm gonna screenshot it and send it to you in the DMs. I'm gonna do it right now. It's gonna be a little embarrassing. Sorry, DM reveal. Let's just do that real quickly here. Oh wait, hang on. I'm forgetting my points. I'm sorry, bro. Also, please ignore the fucking image of Diana and
yeah.
Akko.
Let's not
Oh, let
like.
me tell you right. Oh, believe me, I am going to rant about fucking Little Witch Academia when that
Yeah.
video comes out. A spoiler alert, that's
It's
gonna be my
just we
next
need
major video. But
um
oh my god, I've got
when
some not nice things to say about that show. But yeah, this
when
looks fucking sick right here.
when
Yes.
we need to be careful about DMs and stuff.
Yeah, hold on, let me change the image
Also,
here from the
also,
DMs.
I'm not even that bothered about it. It's more so just the Little Witch Academia image
Yeah,
of
I
like
was about to say,
two
God, I
young
am
people kissing. It's like, come on.
and two characters who literally were rivals for the entire fucking show. Seriously, where do people come up with these stupid fucking ideas? But okay, that's not the point. And hey, you know what? At least Fullmetal Alchemist doesn't shoehorn in romance for the sake of it. Good for it.
But yeah, like, okay, here's the thing about endings. I think, I think even if you haven't beforehand, I think you should at least try. I don't always have the time either, but I think you should try to watch one at least once. Just at
I do
least
usually do
once.
that. And you know what? When I do rewatch '03, which I'm probably gonna do, I might as well take the time to, sit down and really analyze the ending. It gives me, incentive for replay value. So hey, there's always that.
All right. So let's talk about the actually interesting thing. Ready, steady, go. Very well animated, by the way. Extremely so. The visuals are like, see that whole effect they have in the background. They have like this very there's like you see the sky, but it's all very like the sunlight affects the image.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it look all
Well, heat
I
waves, right?
yeah. It makes it feel all like it really makes you feel like you're there, like really has you in the moment. Um, very colorful too. Uh, very light-hearted. I think this point in the show it actually does make a lot of sense. I mean, even though there are dark things happening, this is kind of the most, like most balanced of them. It's kind
It's
of
probably the
like
most upbeat intro. I can tell they wanted to put a lot of energy into this
it's
one, especially with the
because
shot with like Riza, Hawkeye shooting her
it's
gun.
because this is the main meat of the story, so it's like they want to like really make it a hype, hype you up kind of.
but doesn't the next intro play more than this one though? So wouldn't
Wait,
that one
what?
be the meat of the story?
Well, I more so mean like you're at the center of it all, if you know what I
Oh,
mean.
the
It's like
midpoint. Okay, I
yeah,
got you. I got you.
yeah. It's kind of like you're involved into the story, so they want to make it hype and energetic. It comes at the perfect place, really.
Yeah, you've
And
kind of gone
I
through
think
the sort of
um
tutorial phase, and now things are
a
picking up.
subtlety
Hmm?
a subtlety O3 has is like every opening from beginning to from opening 1 to 4, they go from light-hearted to more and more dark. Because Melissa and Ready Steady Go, they are more like bouncy, more fun, more
More
kind of
casual.
yeah. And then Undo and Rewrite are all like, oh wow, stuff got real. Stuff got real and depressing vibes. It's like, oh wow.
Undo in particular definitely tries to be a lot more emotional, and I think it absolutely
It's very
succeeds.
it's very atmospheric. Very atmospheric intro. So
Alrighty.
but like Ready Steady Go is like great song by the way. I think I prefer Melissa just because it's more
As a song
like
or as an intro in general?
as a as a song,
Gotcha.
not as an intro. I think Ready Steady Go definitely beats Melissa as an intro, but as a
No
song,
CGI cliffs.
I think Melissa is like more methodical, whereas Ready Steady Go is more unconventional. Like it has a very it takes no time getting into the swing of the loop. It kind of just plays, and it is catchy. I'm just not that into the vocals, even though they support the music perfectly well.
You know what's really funny now that we're on the topic of like, I know we're talking about Ready Steady Go, but about Melissa, there's something weird about Melissa. Not weird in a bad way. Like it's a very unique intro. The song, I mean, like I don't know if I would
Yeah.
call it like soft rock, casual, but like it definitely has the like. I don't think I've heard a lot of other songs that have the sort of vibe Melissa goes for. Whereas something like Ready Steady Go is something, it's much more upbeat, it's much more energetic. That feels like something I would see in a lot more animes, but I can't think of a
You
lot
wanna
of other
know
intros that
what?
huh?
You wanna know what it reminds me of?
What?
Fighting Dreamers. Go by Flow. I think because it got that fun feeling down.
Yeah, Ready Steady Go and Fighting Dreamers, they do have a very similar vibe to them. Very similar
Also,
speed, if that makes any sense.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna mention it because why not? But I actually much prefer "Go" by Flo as a song over "Ready Steady Go."
Are they the same band?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
but I'm just mentioning because I find them very comparable.
I can see that.
Because I think "Go" by Flo just has much better vocals to me. Well, at least it's much more to my taste.
Mm-hmm.
I think the vocals in "Ready Steady Go" are a bit basic. They're a bit like they don't really have the catch to them that the instruments do.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
Fair enough.
So like I find it unconventional, and honestly, I do think "Ready Steady Go" is a great song. I prefer Melissa just by a little bit.
Yeah, and
So
I can kind of see why. Like I said, if I wanted a song like Ready Steady Go, there's a lot of things I could compare it to. Whereas Melissa, I can't think of a lot of other anime songs that go for a similar tone that Melissa does. So in just terms of uniqueness, Melissa does edge out Ready Steady Go in a song, which I can kind of see honestly.
also
Hmm?
Lars and CL do "Ready Steady Go." They're actually the band who did the Conqueror Shambhala intro. The Conqueror Shambhala intro is like a masterpiece, by the way.
Hmm? Interesting.
Yeah. So like okay, just quickly about Ready Steady Go. I know that I've saw this criticism come up that it's like, oh yes, the posies are like, yeah, like it's way too silly that they're in the sky and all that, and I'm like, it's like whatever. It's
I mean,
like
it's not as silly as
literally
something like Well, uh, you
I
know what,
mean,
God? I'm gonna get some
really,
flack for it, huh?
it is as simple as they're just posing in the sky. There's nothing wrong with that. It's
I
literally
mean, look at
just
Crossing
comical, which
Field
it
from
should
Sword Art
be.
Online. It has characters posing over a, I assume, the system command background.
Yeah.
I mean, Crossing Field's still a good intro, don't get me wrong. It's not my favorite SAO intro. It's actually in the middle of my list, if you can believe that. I know people think I'm crazy, but, you know, just figured I'd bring it up while we're on the topic of intros.
Okay. Well,
Anyways,
try to speed it up a bit, but yeah.
yeah, okay. So let's start
Um.
episode 14 now. I think we've said most of what we need to
Wait,
say. Hmm?
wait. I'm not actually.
Oh, okay. Go on then.
Well, that's the thing. They can't speak about FMA enough. So, as that is what we're here to talk about. So, the like honestly, like those poses do look really good. My favorite of which is being Roy, because Roy and O3 just looks visually perfect in my opinion.
Taps and the screen go explodey.
Oh my goodness, just everything to do with Roy. Like, dude, I'm nearly at the end of my rewatch in O3, and I honestly think Roy in O3 is one of the most goated characters in the entire show.
Honestly,
Like,
I just
his
like
arc
Roy
is
Mustang in general. I mean, in both
well,
Brotherhood and O3 especially, he's just such a likable character.
yeah, but we're focusing on O3.
Yeah, I know. I just figured I'd
So,
bring
like,
it up.
it's just no, like Roy's arc in O3 is phenomenal. His distaste, like Ed and Roy, they both have a more interesting distaste for each other here, where it's like literally like see that car conversation near the end. I was
Mhm.
like, oh my goodness, like they have went from disliking each other constantly, like constantly, like there
I mean,
was
look at the last
little to
episode, Full
no.
Metal versus Flame, where Ed just straight up did an imitation of Roy, and Roy just called him out for all of his mistakes. They fought, and then now
But
they
like
seem to have gained a mutual respect for each other at that point.
yeah, but like the funny thing is like Roy just they both just give it up because of how bad things have gotten. Like just how ridiculous things have gotten that they just go like, not just part separate ways.
Yeah, they're
It
like,
is
they know they just can't
absolutely,
afford to squabble pettily here, so they just are like, they knew to take it seriously. Like, that's
it is
surprisingly honorable.
delicately written. I would describe Roy's. I honestly think both his visual appearance and his arc is perfect on O3. I really do. And I think that people who actually pay attention and watch the show will understand this.
Yeah,
Um, just pay more attention.
fair enough.
So, like, okay, so episode 14, Destruction Right Hand. Like, so this episode, it's not too different from the source. It's kind of just progressing the stuff with Scar.
As
And
well as meeting
like,
Dr. Marco. I'm looking through the
yeah,
footage here as we speak, by the way.
you know what? Let's just combine like 14 through like 15 since they're very similar.
They do kind
Um,
of, it is kind of treated like a two-parter somewhat.
yeah. Now I do think episode 15 is the better of the two since it is very, very impactful. It is okay. Funny thing, actually.
Yeah?
In this case, I will actually bring up a Rojo comparison. Now, this is partly because this is not a contest. This is not a O3 versus Liss. This is actually something I want to give some level of praise for. Now, I think conceptually, Arkawa's war is much better. However, O3's war, I think, like, it's not as complex as the source. Like, sure, but it is. I feel like it's executed a bit tighter though. Like, it's not. It's not as complicated. Like, it doesn't get you to think as much, but what it does is meaningfully impactful, and you you get to see this all play out in a way that makes sense to be the way it is. Like, you're watching this through, and nothing's out of place. Like, you get the progression straight up normal. Like there's nothing that struck me as off with the. Sorry, hold on. I know I'm taking a while. You can actually go on with some of your thoughts while I like think about this, because I
Okay.
will admit, I will admit, I'm not actually that interested. Here's the thing: they are phenomenal episodes. It's just whenever I think of Scar and FMA, so many of the episodes blend in like crazy because Scar is so consistent that that's kind of the thing.
Well, I'll take over the mic just a little bit here. 14 and 15. Honestly, this might surprise you a little bit. It's really funny. I do like the way the war is portrayed in '03 for its own reasons. I'll explain a little bit more about. I know we're not going to be comparing Brotherhood that much. I'll bring up a point later, but for now, I'll say right now, 14. A lot of 14 really is tying. Okay, a few things. One, it's tying back into the fact that Envy is still posing as well, Cornello, all the way back from episode 2. By the way, I'm kind of surprised it took him a while to get back to that. Um, in addition to that, we're seeing more of, Maze and Roy in that, pub scene a little bit earlier on. Ed and Al, Dr. Marco finding out about the Philosopher's Stone, the Iron Blood Alchemist Scar, and of course, well, Dr. Marco. But I do want to bring up something that you honestly, I maybe I'm reaching a little here, but can I be honest when I say I'm not really that fond of Armstrong, at least here
I knew you
anyways.
were gonna say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, look,
I don't
he's not
agree
bad.
at
I want to say no,
all.
he's not bad. I don't know, maybe I'm regional, but he didn't make quite an impression on me. I mean, obviously, he makes an impression more as he goes on, but here he's just sort of. I mean, okay, he wasn't technically first seen here, but I'm sort of like. I don't know, I'm just sort of thrown off by seeing how Armstrong is pretty chill here when he's normally just so extravagant and full of himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still has that,
But
man
he
energy to him. But it was something that just
okay.
felt a little weird coming to me.
Okay, but in episode 15 he needs to be low because it's the massacre. Like, he is the voice of reason in all of this.
And this is true. And you know what? That's what kind of saves it for me. Because I'm going to trans over to episode 15 here. Like I said, I say it's weird, but not bad because they played it off that way. In 14, he was just there. But in 15, that's when you start getting some answers. For instance, Scar kind of had Ed and the others pinned in episode 14. I mean, Ed was not making it out of there. And it's kind of funny how, like, when you really think about it, remember all the way back during the Bury the Chopper episode, Scar and Ed ran into each other by pure coincidence. And now he's seeing each other again. He sees the State Alchemist, and, well, we know how Scar feels about the State Alchemists. Scar's
Yeah.
really threatening. And, that's kind of something I really like about '03 Scar in particular. I mean, I do like the more stoic and, well, the redemption of Scar in Brotherhood. However, '03 Scar is just so much more threatening. I know the voice actors are different. That's nothing here nor there, though. But yeah, Scar really is the absolute, like, Scar really was the focus for me for most of these episodes. Obviously, the flashbacks to the war, and something I want to point out. I like it how the war flashbacks we got here are left still kind of ambiguous. Like, you're not told the full story. I mean, why should you? But you're also sort of given into like a bit of insight to why Marco, like, I mean, Marco, he did not want to do anything with the military after what he saw the Redstones were used for. Scar, I mean, we can see Scar, is just, he takes it so goddamn personally what happened in the war. And now here are Ed and Al looking at this like, okay, well, who's really right here? And that's what I like about this episode. This episode is definitely one of the bigger callouts to the characters' sort of morality and what side they stand on. Because, I mean, when you really, really think about it, Ed and Al are just kids. They don't know much about this war. They're just doing State Alchemist for their own personal goals. Meanwhile, there's all these veterans and bigwigs surrounding them. So this is kind of, in a lighter way, like that scene where Ed broke down during the Bury the Shark episode, since they just see not everything is as simple as it seems.
I'm about ready to go off.
Yeah. I finished up
now.
Yeah, I finished up my point now. You can go ahead.
Okay, so I really, really like the choice it made to have Bass Grand come in and take Marco from the room. That was very funny, to be honest. Because it's just like something that All3 does, where it's like, oh yeah, let's turn this like completely layer moment into something very very, it's like it really makes you hate Bass Grand. Like it's just like
yeah,
he
it's
has
like Ed and
all
Al
these
seemed like they were
layer
getting somewhere,
to
and then
get
the
in the
Iron Block
way.
is like, okay, they're getting too close to the truth. Time to sweep
You
it
wanna
under the
know?
rug.
You wanna know what Bass Grand does? He's like the Danzo of the FMA.
He's a thorn in your side.
Yeah.
It's a thorn in your side.
Because there's a lot of reasons to hate Bass Grand. I mean, he doesn't really do like he doesn't really act in any good ways in All3. He's this kind of just.
When you really stop and think about it, he's a state alchemist who
Actively.
abuses his position.
Yeah.
Like, that is insanely corrupt.
Yeah, and I like how much episode 14 focuses on the stone. I actually think it's a much better episode than I thought it was in hindsight. I still think episode 15 is better because it's not as. Because here's the thing, right? Episode 14, it's kind of like, yeah, it's like get the Scar plot rolling, but it's like, see, when you're too used to something, it can come across as a bit basic, I feel, where it's like, you don't have to earn it as much, kind of, because you're so focused that it's like.
And you're still setting it up, so there's also that.
Yeah, like I just feel like it's about impact as well. Also, Rose actually gets some. Yeah, this is the part that proves that Rose. Okay, here's the thing. Maybe if this scene didn't exist, that scene in episode 40, whatever, like 41 or whatever, or 40, whatever, right? Wouldn't make sense, but I mean, it's not like they didn't show like that she was in a state where that could easily happen. So it's like, and here's the thing that people don't understand, right? It's like, you don't have to explain how every character gets to every state. Like, that would be pointless writing and actively detract from screen time. Yeah. So like, and like, honestly, like the focus on Marco, it's like very, Marco's kind of, it's like he's pathetic, but
you also kind of understand why.
Yeah, it's like he has reasons to be, honestly. So it's like, as a result, I do get legitimately invested. So
It kind of
like,
reminds me of Armstrong, how, I mean, he did this in both Brotherhood and O3, where the Ishvalan War happened, and he just could not bring himself to keep doing it.
yeah.
Like, there were people that knew it was wrong, that knew something was going on, but because the orders came from up high, they had to do it anyways. Like, I know this isn't exactly 100% related, but it reminds me a lot of the Soul Society in Bleach, how whenever something went wrong in Bleach, you know what the Soul Society said? Oh, well, that didn't work. Time to cover it up. I mean, they did that with Jin Kadia. They did that with, Project Spearhead and the Mod Souls, Shusuke Amagai. Like, this shows just how, like, bad leadership has long-lasting damage, not only to the victims, but also the people involved, especially if they were not united.
Yeah.
I mean, some people were definitely in on it. I mean, Iron Blood Alchemist. Hell, even Kimberly, who we saw in a flashback in episode 15, although briefly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, while not everyone in the state military is bad or feels the impact of it, there are a handful of those people that just seem about as corrupt as Bass Grand himself.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to say who's more right here. Like, yeah, obviously there's most definitely victims and oppressors, whoever is the stronger, the weaker, whatever. But there's also the people that you really realize were just following their orders. I mean, Maze Hughes, for instance. Like, was he there during the war? Yes. Would I exactly say he probably wanted to kill these people? No. Same thing with Roy, same thing with Armstrong. Like, it really just shows the damage bad leadership can cause.
Yeah. So okay. I'm gonna finish up my points. That way, you can just finish whatever you have to say.
That's
Because
most of what I have to say about 15 and 16. About
right,
14 and 15. After that, we can talk about 16.
right. I just want to simplify it because
Yeah.
the structure and
Hmm.
we kind of went off the structure a bit, but we'll try to like follow it going forward.
Yeah.
So because I have it up now, right?
Hmm.
Um, that flashback, by the way, about how like the balance, like they had like the resistance movements, and it's like it's very brief, but it does exactly everything it needs to in that time.
Hmm.
Like that's something I like about O3. Most of the time, whenever it does a flashback, unless it's in a way, unless it's an in a way one, it usually, is like it has like something meaningful to say with that brief time frame. It's kind of like how Demon Slayer does it. It's like very, very brief, but you get like it enhances the story because of what you're watching.
The time doesn't
It
feel
shows
wasted.
you, yeah, it shows you little tidbits of like, because Wolfrey is very Ishbalan focused, like it's very much on that,
Very.
and a lot of the flashbacks revolve around that. So it's like it gives you little tidbits of like what they did, how they worked, just ideas of what happened, and that's the thing. It's like peeling layers,
It feels like, honestly,
and
it feels
it's
like
like,
the Ishval as a whole was more thought out and more of a focus in O3. I mean, one, not only is there more Ishvalan
yeah,
characters, but also, well, there's not as many other plot threads going on that distract from the war. I mean, look at Brother. There's so much stuff
yeah.
going on there. So sometimes the Ishvalans kind of get swept aside, but here it remains in the focus for basically the whole show when you really stop and think about it.
O3 has a very heavy focus on war throughout. Like it is, that was kind of the point, is it wanted to focus on the more mature aspects of FMA, and like it actually surprises me people say it's edgy when it tries. Well, here's the thing. That's implying it tries so hard to be like cool, but it's not though. It's trying so hard to be like, you know, like to be to show the effects, like to show the more depressing sides of reality, and that isn't a bad thing. Like, it's like the idea is you get something meaningful out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't always wise, and like, to be honest, it isn't always wise to like cut away from a war in the first place. I mean, it's war. Here's the thing: war has to be handled with some element of maturity, I feel. Now, people are gonna knock on Naruto for this. However, the difference is that's Naruto is consistent about that. You know, like, it is consistent about not having that aspect. So that's, therefore, I do not think it is an issue for that, or say, you know, whatever Michael Bay movie did it. I'm fine with those. Those can handle it whatever way they want. But I think the shows that want to handle war mature should handle war mature. And that's why I think O3, you know, just does that aspect better, where it's like, it's focused. You get to actually focus on what, because, you know, Ishval and War, that kicked off most of the plot points, right?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like it isn't wise to get distracted from that a lot, because it's very, very important. Like, it is the entire reason the plot exists in the first place. Like it's literally why we are fighting in both shows, by the way. Keep in mind, who started the war?
Fucking Envy.
No. Well, I mean, technically no one, but Bradley kind of.
No, because wasn't Envy the person that transformed, killed the Ishvalan child, and then that just broke out into utter chaos?
That's not where it started. That's where that's just the earliest point we can think of in the timeline. That's not really, that's like, that the implication is not that that's the start, it's that it is the first thing you can picture.
All right, okay, I gotcha.
Because O3 doesn't actually like spell everything out to you.
All right.
So like, that's the reason, is because O3, like, it makes it so that you don't. Here's the thing: Envy wouldn't have existed without the higher ups in the first place.
That's true.
And in O3, well, technically, you could say just about anyone, really, because here's the thing, right? Like, the homunculus were a thing. The Ishbalan War would have probably happened with or without them.
Yeah, I know that's a good point, actually.
But in the source, it's a bit different, because a lot of the reasons are because Bradley.
Right.
So that's where that is. So I just have just a few more things to add on episode 15, which is, I think this really does, like, here's the thing: it's really simple. It does not have as much to say as the source does, but it really does show events in the exact way it wants to, because it wants to show the. See, it's presented more interesting, because it's like, it has shots of like Roy being very, you know, just very worked up about it, very tense, and like, he actually even has a gun to his head that, like, he wants to shoot himself when Marco comes in. It's very, very depressing. And I also like the rainy feel to it as well. It does fit. It is worth noting that that was also in the source. And for the record, So it's really cool in the source as well. And here's the thing, that's why I find these episodes kind of less interesting to talk about, is because even though they are phenomenal, it's just, everyone knows how good Scar episodes are. Do we really need to, like,
Probably not.
That's basically been finished on that. Okay, so episode 16. Okay, episode 16, I do have interesting things to say about.
Right.
This is actually not based on any kind of source material at all. It is basically an Al Dieter episode, the better of the two, mind you. We'll get to that other one later. You know what?
Boy.
We could actually do episode 24 right after this if we wanted. We could jump it
Nah,
order a bit.
let's do it in order just to avoid confusion.
Yeah, but we could though.
Well, we're not going to.
Keep in mind. Well, we are going to.
What? Since when? I thought we had a plan.
No, we're going to. Al has 2 Dieter episodes, therefore it is appropriate to lump them together. It is that simple.
Alright, fair enough.
Right, so, like, Al gets lumped into a basket with sheep. That was honestly quite gross. It is like, you really, really out there. By the way, feel free to interject a little bit when I'm speaking, but just don't take the focus.
Okay.
So like, also, I will say that this moment does have some moments, that were based on the source. Like, it has the lust moment with the claw, and it has.
She's literally wearing a fur coat, and she literally stabs Marco.
Using the train. Yeah. Also, by the way, that is
Wes
very
looks
well
really good in that fur coat. I don't say I'm a simp for saying it, but God, she really does rock that fur coat. Shut up,
visually.
conversation!
I was about to say that visually that scene is very well done. Also, they introduce a girl in here. I really like how O3 introduces like random characters, and actually has one.
Gluttony has her head in his mouth. Oh my god!
Like when I really like when O3 has random characters show up, and they're like really wholesome. It's like a very wholesome thing that they help the brothers out on several occasions. Especially younger people. I notice O3 has a tendency to do that.
I mean, look at the other brothers.
Yeah. Although it's funny because those are some of the less wholesome people, they start off trying to run away from them and stuff. It's like but yeah, so like the funny thing is the guy actually takes like Al's head from the thing and starts like pedaling around with him.
Puts him in the
I honestly think this,
man.
even though it's funny, I think this episode is hilarious. Like, and I think that is what makes this. Here's the thing: this seems like it's not as good as episode 14 and 15, and I wouldn't say it was. But the thing is that thinking about it, right? This seems like a detour episode, but it's funny. It's creative what they do with Al. They even have him. They call him like
Metal
what
Man,
is it again? No. They call him the Curse of the Squirms. They call him the Curse of the Squirms near the end of the episode. And then the funny thing is, it ties itself into the plot with a meaningful conversation with yet another villager, which is actually, honestly, I think it's one of the best scenes in O3, believe it or not. Because it's just him talking about, this is what O3 does well. It can make you care about the most, like, trivial of things. Like, honestly, like, just hearing about villagers wanting to get better and, like, see the use of, like, what's the instrument again? Like,
Automail?
the... Huh?
Automail?
No, the instrument that plays for the music. The music in the scene. Like, it's like,
I have no clue, bro.
it's like the... Because they play it in Full Metal vs. Flame as well, remember?
I genuinely have no clue. Simping for anime woman, just your average quit. Shut up! God damn it! I'm not simping for lust. I'm not. I made one comment, Johnny.
Yeah, but, like,
One
here's the thing,
comment.
Clint, right? Here's the thing. He's talking about how, like, you know, that's what soldiers do, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And here's the thing.
I still don't know the instruments. I know the song. I don't know the instrument. I'm just gonna say that.
That's what it does very well, right? Is like it makes something seem trivial, but it adds it into the plot in like a subtle way. It's like soldiers meaning Ishvalans. um and that's, you know, it's like a dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and the funny thing is, right, is that in this episode, something else this episode does is show you the effects of equivalent exchange in as many ways as possible. I actually picked up on this on my Twitter thread. Like, it's showing you all ways, big and small, how equivalent exchange works. Low Free goes all out with that, especially here. And you just tend to hear that a lot. And I think that only became a thing because of O3, actually. I think if it wasn't for O3, you wouldn't think about equivalent exchange as quite as much as you did, to be
I mean,
honest.
don't they open up the every episode with that
Yeah,
opening equivalent exchange speech? Yeah, every time.
very, very iconic. Um, very, very iconic. That is like the part before the
Yeah, where they
intro.
show like the house, the painting that's all burning.
Very like, okay, like, I'm saying, like, nostalgic is like, you know, like, you look at this and you're like, yeah, like, this is something that stands out in your mind, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is something that you just won't forget, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of if you even liked it or not, which obviously I think is fantastic.
Alrighty. Well, is that about all you want to say on 16?
Hold on.
All right.
I'm not at the end of my images yet.
All right.
Uh, so like, there's actually a sunset shot at the end, and it's like, uh, Armstrong like picks them up and starts running. I do like that, by the way. I think that's one of the better Armstrong moments for me.
Puts that
Um,
strength to good use.
yep. Okay. So now, okay. I'm going to take a big jump, and then we'll get to the top tier episode really shortly.
All right.
Um, now, if you want to click on 24,
I'll do that.
and okay, so let's do a little bit of ranting. Well, at least me, anyway. Okay.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go.
I am not a big fan of this episode. Now, I will say, it's not atrocious. It's not a dumpster fire. I know he was on his own with this one. He just didn't execute it that well. This is basically... This is an excuse for Al to go on his own and talk to a bunch of Ishvalans, and it's very boring. It's very... Not much happens. It's very muted. Not much meaningful gets said, but let's dive into it. So, they're sitting around. Scar's actually in a tent. Because he's, you know, he's trying to recover, and he gets, interrupted with a bunch of news about Ishval, and, well, okay, so here's what it is, right? Like, we are coming off of an already flawed episode, which is 23, because Al has that whole identity crisis thing where
It sucks in
he.
any version of FMA, by the way. It doesn't
It
matter if
does.
it's Brotherhood, O3, or the manga. It's just not a good part of FMA in general. I just want to point that out.
And, okay, here's the thing. This is technically handled better in O3, but even I have to admit that this is still not it. Because, okay, and it's also, here's the thing, I'm saying it's better, but I'm also saying it's a bigger issue for O3's story. Because O3's story, here's the thing, it's extended for O3's narrative, so you are watching it for longer. And Brotherhood, that was kind of just a throwaway moment. Now you're kind of watching full-on episodes of just his emotions drawn out over the course of these episodes, and I am not at all a fan. I very much hate this. And it just is not written that well, to be honest. So like, but for this episode specifically, like, they just kind of sit around in tunnels, and it's like, they just, oh yes, how is your arm? That's the kind of writing we're talking about here, right? Like, who is this Al? I wonder. And then they just constantly draw it out, and again, like, really, almost nothing happens. It is meaningless. They
Like
talk
Barry the
about this.
Chopper comes back, and there's the whatever corrupt alchemist guy with the electric backpack. But yeah, this
Okay,
episode's
one.
yeah.
I'm still on my spiel. You
Oh,
you
sorry,
have
my
to
bad.
wait for yours. Remember.
Sorry, my
So
bad.
like, so like, it's the only way we can structure this fairly. Um, so like, Al's okay, and it's like he's saying Al's just finding out that they know each other, and it's like, here's the thing: they force it to talk about Ishbal, but they don't say anything. They just say they attacked us in the past. They despised alchemists, and that's about it. He says he's injured and then just runs off. It had nothing meaningful to say at all. It's a wasted scene. And then he's all about, oh, I want my memories back. I shouldn't have to explain why this is an issue by now. I've already explained it multiple times. And it's like, it is literally a pointless plot point that goes nowhere. And then, okay, here's where the bad writing comes in. Because nothing up until this point seems bad in a vacuum, right? It all seems, at least, to make some kind of, fine enough, fair enough, right? You want to just chill for a bit, right? Here's where the problem kicks in, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy with this stupid backstory about his mother with an eye disease. It's so bad. It is agonizingly bad. Like, okay, I'm saying this episode isn't that bad, right? But I think this part of this episode is atrocious. Like, even the first time I watched all three, I noticed there was something off about this flashback, right? The flashback is literally just a scene where he appears, gets all tense, and then runs off. And it's like, and then the flashback just ends. Nothing was done.
Well, yeah, I remember not
Absolutely
liking that
nothing.
flashback either, by the way. Oh.
That flashback was lame. They were like, I had nothing to say. It was like, even though it's a shame too, it's very well presented, but you're presenting like literal garbage. Like, from a writing perspective, this is horrible. And it takes up quite a bit of the episode, and I'm telling you, there's nothing to get out of it. And you know what? See when you get done with that, the episode actually becomes mostly good when Al comes back into the picture, because Al starts doing some nice animated attacks. And you want to know what? I actually like the ending. Now, I will say, it is very okay. I want to mention this because it's in the grand scheme of Ofri's plot, right?
Yeah.
You want to know what's funny? This has literally, like, they literally forced Al to meet Scar here. Why is Al being all buddy with Scar all of a sudden, by the way? I just want to ask that really quick, because there was literally no build up to this at all. He just appears in a tunnel, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hi, Scar! Hi!" And just starts talking casually to him. I'm like, what? And like, okay, so like, this ending, right? It is good. I like the writing in it. I feel like this is very much a, an all-free writers just telling him to, like, add to the plot. And it's like, but here's the thing though. Why did this even happen, right? Scar's farewell to them was well done and very interesting. They even like let him go and stuff. I see. Here's the thing. I like that on its own, but it's what it's tied to is like, why did this happen? Why is Al randomly talking to Scar even though they were tense of each other beforehand, and all of a sudden he's treating them like a human? I'm like, what? He tried to kill you. Do you not see how this is an issue?
Like, I've heard some people say it's because Al's a kid and he's naive, but I think even someone naive would still be cautious around
that makes
a
no
wanted fugitive and someone who literally tried to kill you and your
no
brother just a few episodes earlier.
no that makes no sense,
I
because
know, that's what
like,
I was saying, because I heard someone say that on some random ass server, or maybe it
no,
was just
it's
Reddit or
because like, it isn't even about like Al like being young. It's more about like the point that this adds to the plot. It adds nothing to the plot. Like, literally, it's it it is just a forced excuse to make Scar come back into the plot when he didn't even really need to be honest. I mean, the scene is good, but this ending scene is good, but it didn't need to happen. Like, you don't need to have him show up at this moment to have a reminder, um, because the writing isn't there. Like the writing set up, he just appears here for like no reason, and that's that. So, have you got anything else to add?
Honestly, no. Most of what you said in these episodes covered anything I could comment on. And
I've got a recommendation, by the way. Try to speed up your voice.
speed
Bec-
up
bec-
my voice? Why?
yes, it's because you talk a bit slowly to the point where we're eating up time.
I mean, I've done very little talking this stream, so uh I mean, if you think that'll work, I'll maybe speed it up when I release the footage, but
No, I mean, okay, I don't think you get what I mean. I'm saying that, like, I'm okay. Here's the thing. I'm trying to talk as fastly as possible, but you're like not concerned about. You don't seem concerned about time at all. But we need to keep things moving.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
So like
episode 17.
just try to keep your voice at a pace where
All
it
right.
keeps the flow up, because we don't want like a lot of like muted. The worst thing that a podcast can do is just have a lot of muted, pauses.
All
We
right.
don't. Well, like we can still have those, but they can't be that frequent.
Okay.
And I feel like we've been eating up time a bit.
Yeah, we've been recording for an hour and 5 minutes already.
Okay, because okay, right, like we really need to get a move on. So,
Yeah.
I think we might cut some of this, like some of the early stuff.
Okay.
Um. Right. Okay. So episode 17. If you wanna click
Automail.
there. Okay. So this one,
I'm gonna
okay,
let you talk
I
a little
can.
bit. I'll use the restroom, but you can keep saying what you're gonna say to the audience, okay?
Yeah. Okay. So. Oh wait, but you have to be listening to me though. Okay.
Have to be listening. Okay, I'll hold it. I'll hold it in.
Well. Uh. No. Like you should still go. I'll just mute.
No. Okay. Well, I guess we'll do that then.
I apologize for any long pauses. Again, we're trying to get into a groove with this. It's quite annoying. If I ever meander with any points, try to understand that this is like very much a learning experience. I did really bad with the whole episode 14 thing. Here's the thing: I kind of need to have the footage in front of me, otherwise I'm just going like blah de blah de blah blah. All free good. uh, I will admit I'm really bad for that. Really bad. I even set up an outline lately because I definitely needed to do that. But yeah, um, if I ever, by the way, if I ever seem like aggressive or whatever at any point, like I apologize. I sometimes it just comes out. I don't mean to scare anyone off of, but yeah, it just it's very hard to like
I'm back.
get some points across sometimes. But yeah, okay. Hello. Um, I was just stalling for time with like off-topic stuff.
Fair enough.
While you were away. Okay, so episode 17. Now here I can actually get passionate about this because I think this is a top tier O3 episode. Actually, I think this is the cream of the crop. Um, and that okay. Here's the thing. I think like the waiting household thing was actually really nice in the source as a bit of like breathing room. And I think O3 does it even better because it's like it has more things to really, it just feels more meaningful. But if I can just dive in, right? So it's like um so again, not much difference. Now I do want to mention it's a frame of reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the tone here as well. Now, the tone occasionally can get a bit silly. However, this is of course a good time for that. Now, the thing is that I don't tend to like overuse of gags. like, here's the thing. You can have good gags, right? Like, really good gags, right? But see if you just spam them all the time, I feel like it just gets grating. Like, really grating. And I feel like O3 had a good middle ground between having gags here, and they do feel, really out there, really, really, they still feel like really, wow, like, oh, really, this happened? And I'm like, oh. But again, it's balanced out with serious moments. And it's like, yeah, I can see why someone would find some of this obnoxious. But it just has a way of doing it that feels more natural to me. It doesn't feel like anything is poorly timed necessarily, or at least it doesn't feel like it doesn't fit the position of the screen time that it is. It doesn't affect any serious moments or anything, which I'm glad, because I've learned a lot about tone from FMA. So, yeah. And it's like, I like, like Ed lying around outside. It's like very slice of life-ish. And I think it's a way of just, this is very, honestly, like, this is impeccably timed. Like, because you had the episodes beforehand with the invasion, and you want to, like, settle it down with some really, really calm, it's like a calm before the storm kind of thing. Like, after this, there's a ton of intrigue, and you just want this as a part to, like, just watch the characters be the characters, especially, like, seeing Winry. It's nice to see her as well.
Can I just mention, since you mentioned Winry, when Winry wears her bandana, oh God, I'm gonna sound so fucking stupid, but
Tact?
She kind of looks like Tact in one frame.
I was about to say, like, I was about to say,
she does kind of look like Tact in one frame.
Is this Tact?
Hello, Femtact. Femtact isn't real. She can't hurt you. Actually, fun fact, I actually have seen someone draw Tact as a female, and
it's just the audience kind of needs to know who Tact is.
Villain of Shield Hero. He wears a bandana and a freaking crown. Vanguard of the Waves. Absolutely goated villain. That's all you need to know. You know what? Wait, hold on. It might be easier if I just send it in the images here. All right. Wait. You know what? That might not be a good idea, because there might be some things in my file manager I don't want people to see.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but, I don't think they want to see some of my other files.
Okay, yeah.
After saying fucking Diana, I don't think they'd want to see anything anyways. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Now we get to the part that's really, because this doesn't exist in the source, by the way, and that's it further fleshing out of Ed's automail pain. Because you remember the line he said of, "This is nothing compared to what Al had to go through." Vic, it's in the dub too, because Vic Magnano says that exact line. It's, what was I gonna say? It's like, but further fleshing out, like, you get to see Winry work on his automail more, and they actually show a lot of his, like, they actually show that he's still hurt. Like, you see him on the pillow and he's still, like, all shaking, and, like, because he actually has his eyes closed, squinted, and it's very, very painful to watch in a good way.
I told you not to connect the nerves, Winry!
And, but yeah, and lastly, honestly, I'm okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised that you're not that into Armstrong because I do think he has plenty of great moments here.
Honestly, I think this was a
With
good
how
episode
play
for
around.
him being more, sort of slow and downtime. I'll give credit to Armstrong here. I think he works well within this episode. Kind of helps the slower dynamic. We have just this big guy there. He
I
feels
mean,
out of place, but in a good way here.
like I don't really agree. I think he's pretty great throughout the entirety of all three, but semantics. Um, it doesn't really matter either way. It's not something I like to hyper focus on anyway. It's Armstrong. It's not someone I really take very seriously as it
And
is.
to be fair, honestly, like he's not bad. I think maybe I'm just a little bit like maybe I prefer Armstrong just a little bit more in Brotherhood, but again, that's so minor that
I
I'm not
don't
taking
really
away any
get
points
what
over
he
that.
does in Brotherhood that's so uniquely like different that makes him better. I don't see it. Like I feel like he's mostly the same. Like he doesn't really have much meaningful to add to the plot layer either.
Hmm.
In both versions, he's just kind of the comic relief guy. That's it.
I mean, when you really boil him down,
Most
yeah.
of it
I
is
think it's because
like,
O3 isn't as comic relief centered. I just never really got to see enough of Armstrong in that way. And because, well, Brotherhood throws jokes left and right, well, you can do the math, I think.
well, the thing is like Armstrong doesn't even appear that much in O3, so I don't treat it as like that big of an issue.
All right, fair.
So, okay, have you got any thoughts on 17? I feel like I've had pretty much everything I've wanted to say about it.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I think it came at the right time. The placement of it was just right. After, a lot of, them telling us things and sort of it's funny because we did have a little bit of slowdown in 16, but it did still tie to the main plot in ways. Whereas this one's mostly just downtime. However, I think it works well with what it works with. We kind of get to see Ed sort of reminisce, look back, at like, his family, Pinako, his friendship with Winry, obviously, the Watch, his early days as a state alchemist. I think this episode was placed in the best possible place it could have been. Expanding on automail a bit more, which is really nice, seeing as, I mean, that's basically Ed's entire gimmick. And honestly, Winry's just so goddamn likable that I really can't complain. Honestly, I'm
Yeah,
struggling to think of any.
a lot of people hate Winry in general because she throws wrenches and stuff. I never minded her like in both versions really.
A lot better than drawing your fucking weapon in a
I mean,
stupid ass field.
something that's funny is I do actually have an issue with her in O3, but I'll get to that later. Because
Hey, Winry throwing
it
wrenches is at
comes
least more tolerable than fucking Asuna
well,
trying to draw her
um
goddamn sword or literally fork Kirito in the face. Who likes this shit? Literally who?
I just want to mention that the Winry stuff doesn't come till later on, so it's not a problem yet.
Okay.
Okay, so episode 80. Okay, this is the last one before we all cover Lab 5 arc. So, like, um, okay, this one I have a lot to say about this one actually. Um,
The
this is a
Sheska
very
episode.
this is a very simple episode, like extremely simple, and it does it so beautifully with a much better tone, much better care. Properly made me care about everything to do with the brothers helping Sheska out. And honestly, like I really like what Japan seem to do with like these photographic memory plot points and stuff. It's very because I notice that's a trope that exists in Japanese media, but it's one I tend to like. I think it leads to really good writing, and here it's no exception. I think Sheska, especially, is a beautiful character. I think she is handled with nice writing. It's like very very book heavy. I like that touch. Um,
More
and
memorable than Sailor
it's like
Mercury.
yeah, and it's like plenty of meaningfuls to say. Sheska actually gets herself all shaken up in this episode. Like, she's nervous. Like, and that's something that didn't actually exist in the source. She doesn't get nervous. But here, it's like they actually have a part of her, like kind of show more expressive sides. And it kind of pains, like, because here's the thing about people with photographic memory, right? It's both a blessing and a curse because you can remember a lot of things very well, but you're also going to remember a lot of bad things very well,
And
and that
it's
can
not
do
going
a
to be
lot of
easy to forget them.
yeah, and that can do a lot of damage to like your brain and just a lot of damage to like the way you think. It's like because it's like your thought process is stuck on that to the point where anything is like sometimes it's like you think about things and then you just end up back on that and it's like, oh geez, wow, like that's got to hurt. And that makes me feel sorry for characters like Sheska. Um and like I think O3 just tends to show this better. Like it has, like the just very expressive. You can see that Sheska obviously, you know, she's very sensitive in this version. She's very
She
she
speaks
has
very
the
politely,
usual
she's trying, to make a good impression, all that.
fear of criticism. I mean, I feel like everyone has some kind of fear of criticism to an
Yeah, fear of
extent.
what others think about you. I can relate to that a lot,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, I definitely have it. So it's like very like it does feel very wholesome and touching just the way they do it. And honestly, like the brothers just helping her out just in any version is just mm,
And hey,
it just feels so good to watch.
Maze Hughes, good to see him as well. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention that he has a conversation with Maria Ross. Now, I will talk about Maria Ross because she's actually a very underrated element of O3 that I'll get into shortly.
Mm.
And but yeah, that's about it. I mean, you've got the conversation with Scar. A lot of Scar's scenes, like ending scenes are at sunsets. It's very subtle the way it's done. Um, so because episode 24 did it as well, and it's like generally you see a lot of sunset motifs throughout the entirety of all three. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I mean, I have. There's a lot of those.
Just to make sure and all. So, have you got anything to add on episode 18?
Yeah, I had one thing. Besides what he said about Chescott Macius, I do like it how they actually explained why the library was burned down, because, well,
Yeah.
Scar was fighting gluttony and lust. Shows the after effects of that. Obviously Maze Hughes and Al, it's like you said, this is a very simple episode, but it's one that both progresses the plot with, Ed and Al finding out via the records what the Philosopher's Stone actually
Yeah.
is. We also get to see just sort of like, again, I know it might sound really weird seeing as we kind of just had a slowdown episode in 17, and I guess by extension 16, but it's slow while also not feeling like it's just trying to buy time. Like they find
Yeah.
ways to slip in details that still feel relevant and meaningful.
You want to know what it is, Quinn? You want to know what it is?
What is it?
Peak intrigue. That's exactly what that plot point has always been.
Well, that's a good way to keep viewers in. With intrigue
Yeah.
comes what else? Engagement.
Yeah, because like here's the thing: if you do a simple concept and you do it well, it can be just as good as something complicated.
One of
And
what's funny,
that,
I
like
feel
a
that way
lot of
about
these
Monster Hunter
episodes.
Rise. Both its gameplay and its story. Simple, but goddamn it, is it addicting.
Yeah, or like the War of Heroes arc because it's very,
Or
simple
hell, even the Mega
structurally.
Man games. They're very simple 2D platformers, but they're
Yeah.
beloved by so many people because of just how fun and replayable they are. Like
Yeah.
that's something I miss in anime.
Mhm.
Replay value. Like, okay, I know stories when you know everything that happens. I know some people say stories aren't replayable because when you know what happens, you know what happens. But like O3, Gunnex Sword, some of my favorite animes, even the ones that I think I know like the back of my hand, I still find breadcrumbs and things I may have not noticed. And even then, there's so many good moments that I really don't mind knowing what happens. I just know a good story when I watch one. And a good
Right.
story is even further enhanced by, you guessed it, replay value.
Yep. Okay, so is that you?
That's me. Uh, Lab
Because
5.
okay, we're about to go into the Lab 5 arc. Now, I've got a very this might surprise some people. This episode I'm actually not that big on. I think it's one of the weakest episodes of all three, and that is episode 19. Now, okay, here's the thing. This is very good throughout. Like the episode itself has nothing wrong with it. Every scene is like perfectly fine. It's just that structurally, here's the thing. While Marco's managed to be simple but fleshed out, this is kind of just exists in a vacuum. It's very much an extension episode, and while I do like how some extension episodes play out, I feel like this one was kind of dragging its feet a bit. Like, not much substantially meaningful happens in this episode other than the Maria. Here's the thing, the Maria Ross conversation, we need to talk about this.
All right.
While it does seem a little cheap that she has that, suddenly, yes, um, you can feel the final result. That is the point. Because they're using that as a point where it's like, oh, wait, that's unexpected. Maria Ross is suddenly fine with it. That's how they get you. That's exactly how they got you. They twisted your perception of how the conversation was going to play out. It's freaking ingenious. Like they made it so that Maria Ross is suddenly supportive of what the brothers are doing because subtly they already told the reason why why she was fine with it beforehand. It
Okay.
is one of the most seamless, like, how do I put this? It's like a get out of danger situation, like a get out of tense argument situations I've ever seen.
Alrighty.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get the general point you're trying to make here.
And honestly, the scene just feels very special in general. I like the camera does this thing, by the way, where it focuses on the fan at the top of the room.
Yep.
That is very nice touch. Like
I never
all
thought a
three
ceiling fan could be animated so smoothly.
all three's camera work, by the way. Like you would be shocked at how much. Here's the thing: it's great early on, but I can't believe I'm saying this. It gets even better in episode 26 and onwards. Like, oh boy, gets really good there. But that'll be for the next podcast. So, but yeah, episode 19. Here's the thing: I do like the action in this episode. Actually, it's very
Has the funniest edge
well
short there with
animated.
avoiding that one boulder. I just want to point that out.
Oh yeah, there's that too. But there's also the military scenes where they're all shooting at each other, and it's very well animated, by the way. Like it's one of the most flashy sequences on all three, and it exists in my opinion one of the weakest episodes.
Can't go wrong with a
Um,
good old fashioned gunfight.
because the thing is, there's not much to say about this episode because it starts with the Maria conversation, and then in the latter half, it's kind of just set up for the, you know, here's the thing: it takes its time, but not in as good a way as all 3 usually does it, in my opinion. Like, it drags its feet a little because it sets up so much time setting up the room where they fight the Slicer brothers. Now you can go.
Honestly, I mean, I know I've been a lot more quiet this podcast, but I don't really have a lot to say about this episode either. I do like the sort of Indiana Jones set piece they have with Ed avoiding a lot of the
Yeah,
traps. That was really
very
nice. I
creative.
mean, it has the Boulder short gimmick I really like. I do
True.
like, the very brief cutaway of both Barry and the Slicer brothers watching Ed through,
Mhm.
I assume, the cameras of Lab 5. Lab
Yeah.
5 does have a really, really cool aesthetic to it. I mean, it definitely feels like an abandoned lab. You got that one shot of Greed, stuck in, well, his imprisoned room. But yeah, a lot of this episode really just is set up. Not that I'm not necessarily bothered by that, but a lot more eventful things happen later down the line. And, well, yeah, it's sort of weird. Like, I know the Slicer brothers and the Barry the Chopper fight. Oh, yeah, and Barry comes back. No surprise here. Actually, you know what? Hold on. That is something I do want to talk about.
Hmm.
Barry the Chopper. I praise the daylights out of his introduction. And something I talked about in Brotherhood is that Barry the Chopper, especially in Brotherhood, was really not that scary. Like,
Hmm.
I know that was kind of like intentional, like, in Brotherhood's case, he was meant to be this armored serial killer guy, but I don't know, I just couldn't take him very seriously in Brotherhood.
Yeah, I mean, he still is an antagonist. You kind of have to have like a serious side, even
Yeah.
when you have gags
And
for,
it's like,
when
I
he's
think
gag
O3
based.
did a better job with Barry. However, I won't lie when I say Armored Barry, like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just tripping here, but I feel like Barry sort
Uh,
of changed a little too much when he became Armored Barry. I mean, especially when you compare how Barry was in, like, episode 7 when he's first introduced. Compare him to here. Like, Barry was portrayed as this cold, calculative, and really threatening guy, and Al is just sandbagging him. And, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching on this one, but I don't really I don't know. I feel like this just isn't the way I expected them to take Barry, even if they were to bring him back this way. I mean, it's not
right.
like near. I mean, to be fair, Brotherhood, they don't exactly have Barry as a human, so it's not as much of an issue there. But, like, I kind of wanted Barry to be taken more seriously, but rather than the sort of like, he's back, he's still not dead, the creep factor, he's kind of turned into the butt of many jokes. And I don't know. I'm not really fond of that direction. On top of him being,
Oh,
the reason why Al has that identity crisis. So, yeah, Barry kind of got played a little dirty here.
wait, hold on. When was he the butt of a joke?
I mean, think about it. Al is sandbagging this guy. Like, keep in mind, literally, Barry was portrayed as this cold, calculating, incredibly skilled killer.
I mean, he still manipulated him here.
He did, yeah, but, like, I mean, like, so much of his intimidation has completely gone away, and I don't know, I'm just not very fond of what they did
I
here.
wouldn't say completely. That's a huge reach.
No, 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 obviously it's not all gone, but, like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know, it's really hard for me to describe. It might just be a personal thing, but I really feel like they should have kept Barry in his more creepy, more serious phase rather than just kind of having him doof out for the sake of it.
I mean, yeah, that like I do agree with the side that's saying that he could have kept up the serious act when he was a human. Yeah, like that aspect I
Yeah,
do
it's like I
think
just
is
feel like God, I just feel like he doesn't act like the way I'd expect Barry to act when he realizes he clearly
yeah.
realizes he got a second chance being an armor. I feel like he would be
He
ironically more unhinged. But if anything, he feels less unhinged. changed, oddly enough.
Well, he feels like a different character at
Exactly.
that point. He kind of just feels like Source. He kind of just feels like Source Barry at that point, but kind of muted almost.
Yeah.
So that should bring us into episode 20.
Episode 20.
And episode 20. Okay, now this might surprise people who think that because here's the thing, I know that a lot of people think early Brotherhood is a dumpster fire, and there are a lot of problems with it. But one of the things that I do like about it, by the way, is the Slicer Brother fight. And O3 made it, in a lot of ways, even better. Because the atmosphere, the choreography, the weight
This
of
is
the
a good
swords,
fight.
The fight is so fleshed out, and also Ed loses a lot of blood, by the way. I noticed that in O3 they like to focus on the blood aspect to the point where he had to get in you know, he had to get the help. He had to help himself for it. I was like, wow, Ed is taking everything on his shoulders here.
And honestly,
This
like,
is
Ed really had to get creative here.
yeah. Yeah. You can see it in the fight and what they do with it. It's fascinating the way it's done. Very gruesome, very, very gross. And like also the location, by the way, the way O3 does the location. Now, I like the sand location and the source, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that kind of sandy interior
Yeah, it
thing
has
they
like the
have going on.
transmutation circle on the ground and
Yeah.
all that.
However, this is also really cool, you know, like the glowing grey room with the
With all the
metallic
pillars and all
structures
that.
and like yeah. And there's even like symbols on the doors. It kind of looks like a key, I think.
Reminds me of
On
that
the
one
door.
chapel in Resident
Okay.
Evil 4.
Yeah, like it has that vibe to it, and like also, uh, this also comes up in episode 21 as well. But I feel like this also handles a morality thing, you know, a little more interesting, a little more focused on it, and because like here's the thing, Ed in both versions, he's kind of like here's the thing, in both versions, not just O3, he wants to he kind of ends up saying some stuff he shouldn't. Like, I want to help. Oh yeah, no, what the Slicer brothers, like what you guys did isn't that bad. But like that's kind of the point, is that Ed is, you know, he's saying the best thing in that situation that he can, because he knows he has to cope.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically copium, you know. It's
Yeah.
like you can't accept reality because you know that they are like
They were
at
death
that
row
point
inmates.
they are also way too useful to the point where you couldn't really like go like, see, them dying in no way was like a good thing for the grand scheme of things, because it's like they were
What would that
literally one of
accomplish,
the many
really?
keys. Yeah. And like, um, and even though what Ed did, was a little too lenient, it is nonetheless a human decision. It's very,
So much so
it's
that the Slicer
very,
brothers even recognized him.
yeah, yeah. It's like it says a lot about Ed, that even though he's very, he can be pessimistic at times.
He
He
can
can
be
be
very
very,
hot-headed, yeah.
he can be very arrogant sometimes, but he also has a very soft side whenever he wants to be. Like, he'll know if there's anything that will make things better for everyone, he will take that chance.
Yeah?
He will take that chance even if it has him go down paths that will lead to him not being very popular with people. I know that he isn't very popular with Roy, and Roy isn't very popular with Ed.
Mhm.
um, So, also, Manches was to destroy the blood seal. That was kind of, oh boy. And I'm pretty sure. So, also calls him Pipsqueak Alchemist. Um, wait. Also, there's a flashback in this one, by the way. And
there
that's
is.
like for it's Kaz Al flashback to the days where they were young children, and it was like for it all to be false that couldn't possibly be, and it's like honestly that is quite well done in spite of the context. It's you know generally O3 does flashbacks well. That's nothing surprising. And honestly, like really, like see the camera work here. Oh my goodness, O3. I feel like O3's best aspect is its camera. Honestly,
They really
it
did
knows
want to show off a
exactly what
lot
to
of their
show.
locations in multiple
Yeah,
angles.
yeah. So if you have any lasting thoughts to go on 20, give them now. Before the
Nope.
timer.
Besides the fact that I like action scenes because I'm the biggest sucker for anime and action areas, should come as no secret that I really like this episode. It's easily a highlight of early '03 in my
Yeah,
eyes. Well,
yeah. It's
middle
very
'03, but you know what I
memorable.
mean.
It's very memorable, and it deserves to be one of the most popular episodes, I would say. Um,
Alrighty, 21.
even even though I don't think episode 20 is quite as perfect as I thought it was on first watch, because Al's context is a bit. Oh, my memories, my memories. Anyway, that's why I gave it a 9 and not a 10, because Al's memories. I had it a 10 at first.
Fair enough.
So,
21.
okay,
Okay, a lot
so
happens in this one. I just want to
Quinn,
say.
I go first.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Um, so uh, continuing with Al and Barry, and also Scar. um, but also, by the way, this also I really like the way this mixes in the Lab 5 scenes with the Al, with the fights and the conversations, because it also this is the introduction of greed, by the way, in O3. Proper greed, yes. Um, and he
You
just
see, I'm
rises.
greed. I want everything you can imagine. Money and women, sex
Also,
and power, fame, glory. I demand the finer things. And of course, I crave eternal life. Or
Quinn, I
power
don't
brain
know if you
essentially.
noticed. I
Yep.
don't know if you noticed, but when he's introduced, he says 130 years. Is it?
Yeah.
130 years. Put that together.
Oh.
Well,
130 years. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on.
and he only looks like what, like, oh, I want to say 20-ish.
Ah. Okay,
But
that
yeah,
wasn't what I was thinking, but that is also true. You're right. I
what
mean,
were
then
you
again,
thinking?
same can be said for any of the homunculi whose name is not Bradley, but
Wait, hold on. What were you thinking?
well, I was thinking because wasn't Greed like in most contexts like the second oldest homunculi, even when he was made
Mm,
by like both okay, in both contexts, when he's made by Father or Dante, he was one of the oldest homunculi. And I
well,
was thinking,
I
huh?
mm, well, I mean, I definitely know that it would be second before Dante for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about Hohenheim, though I don't know if it was exactly 130 years the thing I'm thinking of, but whatever. We can cover that on a later podcast, honestly. Anyways, go on.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm
okay.
distracting a little here.
Yeah. It's like what? By the way, Okay, so yeah, and also like the way Green Rises, by the way, they even animated that for some reason.
Just breaks off the bands around his arm and he just gets up and he's looking as stylish as ever.
Yeah, like I swear that outfit is like really unnecessarily smooth looking.
Hey, he's got the fur coats. You know, if Lust can rock a fur coat, so can Greed.
Oh, I quite like fur coats. I even liked when Ed did it, and in Brotherhood Briggs.
Oh yeah, you're right, he did.
Yeah, I actually like that design.
I gotta see more
I
fur
thought that was nice.
coats.
Yeah, fur coats are cool. I actually have a fur coat, by the way. I was wearing it earlier.
I don't, but I might buy one. Who knows? Maybe I can style a fur coat too.
But yeah, so this is where Ed kind of goes on that moral thing where he's like, he suddenly wants to help the Slicer brothers, and it's like, and again, stuff like this just goes to prove how bad things have gotten. When you want to help killers, it's like, again, it just really goes to show like how just how far he's willing to go. It's crazy. And here's the thing. This praise isn't unique to O3, by the way. Although I do think this does a better job of showing it. But it's also in the source too, and it's great there too. I think it's really refreshing, actually. And I think it's done in a way that's not spelled out to you in either version.
Hmm.
This is a praise for both. I actually think they do this really well. And it's like, it makes you question, is Ed doing the right thing? And well, in some ways, he is, because he has to do this, but he's also going out his way to help them in a way where it's like he doesn't even care that they're, killers, but just like, it is screwed up to think about, but again, that's what makes us so interesting. It's a moral thought piece,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and again, both versions too. Um, so,
But you
but
want to know
yeah,
what's not in both versions?
but
Shao Tucker coming back as an upside down headed fucking chimera. Honestly, that
yeah,
shocked me when I first saw it. I was like,
yeah,
what the hell? Like,
that's
okay, look, even though
very
Barry
good.
lost his creep factor, Shao Tucker did not.
Oh, he's creepy and
Oh
all
yeah, oh
three.
he's even more creepier than he was before. The way he always talks in whispers, the way his head is upside down, those long ears.
The upside down head gets me.
Like and like God, this design is fucking disturbing, and I love how they just. I mean, look. Ed is not only terrified to see that this guy is still alive, but in this state too. Like, what the shit?
Yeah. Also, like Nina as well. Like, you gotta think about how O3 actually turns Nina into, like, you know,
They turned her into a
like,
fucking vegetable. Oh
and
my
it's like
God,
the
it's
Nina
so
you're
insane.
seeing is like the Nina you're seeing isn't the real Nina, but she is in a way. It's crazy.
Yeah, oh my God. Like they wanted to show the damage and they absolutely fucking succeeded. Like
It's
yep,
like
they nailed
because
it.
it's like you're seeing the effects of everything that happened. It's all about build up and payoff with this show, man.
Man, and build up
Um,
and payoff. What's so funny? I miss build up and payoff so much in modern anime. Like, I really feel like so many modern animes are just struggling with build up and payoff. And that's mainly because of the 12 episode formats. Again, not really related, but I fucking love good old fashioned build up and payoff because you can do things like this that just would not be seen in a lot of storytelling.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying all stories should have an upside down headed scientist furry thing in it. Oh god, no. But like, I don't think I can think of any other story off the
Well,
top of my head that builds up something like that and actually aces it.
like Ofri is just a very disturbing show at times, and
Not only is it disturbing,
it's
but it's
showing.
distinct. Lily,
Yeah,
what other show can you think of has this? Not much
yeah,
I can think of.
and also these end scenes with the lab. Okay, I want to mention. I have to mention this. Uh the end shots are so cool. The ones with Tucker just dude, see that look Tucker gives him when he's like hyping himself up? He's like, I'm no ordinary alchemist, and then he's like smearing at the eyes, like, how dare you, Ed?
He has such an empty
Honestly,
expression, but it works
you
so
know,
well.
I'm gonna come out and say it. I think this is just as badass as a lot of the FMAB core. Core 4, season 4, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
The transitions to the
yeah.
credits in those. I think that this is just as badass as a lot of those. Some of the later Broho ones.
They blew up the Führer's train over a ravine.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Dur,
yeah.
dur, 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 dur.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the Riza, the Riza with the rifle,
Yep.
and she's, getting hyped with the action, and then you hear it
I love that. I
afterwards.
love
I'm
that
like, oh,
so much.
good.
Just
Yeah.
they blew up the Führer's train over a cliff, and they're just like, "What?" I just got such a power
Yeah,
play.
I do
General Grumman absolutely outplayed
like
Bradley there. Like, I just love the way he just closes the fan and is like,
when
"Got him." I love that.
when
Sorry, I should just say that.
even I'll admit, yeah, like freaking the transitions and also just really the season in general for that was amazing. Like, well, very well done, especially for that series standard. It's like,
And even though that didn't
um,
kill Bradley, God, I would have been fine if that killed him. But like, God, it's such a power play. It's such a power play. Trick him
I
into
will
leaving
admit,
the ceremony, getting
um,
on the train, stopping the train on the bridge, detaching the passenger car, stopping it because of the sheep, and then blowing up the goddamn bridge with Bradley still on there. Like that is so fucking smart. Okay, sorry, just
Clint,
had to get that out.
I will admit that I'm actually glad that Bradley didn't die there because the thing is like,
We wouldn't
see,
have
it
gone the
wouldn't.
Scar fight if we
No,
didn't.
no, 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 no. It would. Well, not just that. It wouldn't have led to like the the funny gag of him platforming out of his own death.
He Mario 64'd out of his own death. He backwards long jumped to victory.
That was okay. Bradley has some really amusing moments.
God,
Like
Brad's awesome.
jumping out the
Well,
window.
not only did Bradley outplatform his way to death, he literally storms the front of his castle like it's nothing. He solos a goddamn tank, and then when Greeling confronts him, he's all like, "Oh, I had a few aches and pains," and then proceeds to mop the floor with everyone there. Like, honestly, Bradley
Okay.
is fucking badass, bro. I know he's a villain, but
Yeah.
goddamn it, this old man has got some moves.
I also think, okay, like, don't get me wrong, I completely understand why everyone prefers, you know, Brotherhood Wrath over All Free Pride, but I don't. I will say though, All Free Pride, I feel like some people are underrating him a little. I don't know, man. I feel like he has plenty to add to All Free's story, even if it
On
is
top of
more
him being a
limited.
different interpretation of the character. I
Yeah.
mean, he has less screen time, sure, but what they were using Bradley for
Mhm.
in '03 versus Bradley in Brotherhood is very different. So it's really not
Because, like,
that fair to compare the two when they're
yeah,
used completely for different tones and reasons.
and like, it's very effective when he does appear. Like, I like that early moment, in episode 8
Mm-hmm.
where they're hanging out next to the, is it like the clock place in the military, and it's like with the pillars,
Yeah, I think so.
and he just appears and he's all like, it's good for young people to follow their dreams, it's like very, it's like very admirable. It makes you trust him,
I
although you
brought you
don't
a
know you're
nice
putting.
melon.
Yeah, it's like it makes you think that you can trust him when you're gonna find out way later down the line that it's like, oh wait a minute, what's Bradley doing? Why is he here? Why is he killing people in Dublith? What is
Why is this
happening?
guy just in the right place at the right time?
Well, or wrong place at the wrong time,
Well, right
in
place
this
for him,
in the
wrong
story's
place for
context.
us.
Well, I'm saying for everyone else
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say, because
yeah, I got you.
they are going to be greatly inconvenienced.
You better have a good explanation, Full Metal. I'm only kidding.
Because I'll get
Okay, wait, we
into
got to
that
get back to
further.
FMAO 3
Hold
here.
on,
We're
hold on. I'll get
oh,
into that like further in episode 28 as well, of course, because that is where a lot of that comes into play. The military
yeah.
intimidation.
Actually,
Um,
wait, I do want to mention something on the topic of 21 that we actually completely missed. The Scar
mhm,
flashback. Now, I know Scar and his brother never get named. We don't know what their names are. But I gotta say, though, the Scar flashback here to his brother, it's funny. I think I prefer the Scar flashback in Brotherhood as well, but this is still really effective. I mean, you see, his brother walk out of that house covered in tattoos, and you can just see this guy is fucking broken. Like, he's staring up at the sky where there's nothing there. Everything's going wrong in their city. There's tears from down his, and Scar's like, brother, what the hell happened to you? It's just woof. Like, again, really ties into the fact that they wanted to make this war feel like a big deal. And you know what? If you can't make a war feel like a big deal, then I don't know what sort of story you're writing. But O3, they know how to make a war feel like a big deal. And thank God they do too.
yeah. See, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit more conceptual with some of the source things because I think that here's the thing. I think the source does it more interesting, like Brotherhood and stuff. But it's
Mhm.
like it feels conceptual to me. It doesn't feel very in the moment. I just don't see how it's really. It doesn't feel as shown to me.
Mhm.
Like I get that they're telling it, but I'm not impacted by it at
Mhm.
all. Really, I think it just comes down to how the story shows things and communicates things.
Fair.
Because I can't really say that I did get involved in it, even though it was more layered. Because I can respect the writing and what it does. I just I think they have a off way. Like, here's the thing: it's all about visuals and presentation. Like, some things can be elevated by presentation, and sometimes, like, if you don't have that layer, I'm not going to be impacted by it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a pacing thing. You have to make me breathe it in, or else I'm just not going to like. Because here's the thing: if you're presenting something in a boring way, like in a way where it's like, oh yes, the writing happened, but it it isn't really making an attempt to make you feel anything. I feel like it can come across as kind of, well, muted. It doesn't feel as engaging to me.
Alrighty.
So, anything
Well,
else to add on 21?
nope. Let's go to 22.
Okay, we have 3 episodes to do left.
Yep. Yeah, 22, 23. We already did 24 and 25. Awesome. We're making pretty good time here. Okay, hold on.
Check
I
your
just want to
DMs.
say before like we start 22, Bradley wearing pajamas. I just want to say that. Just Bradley wearing flower pajamas. That's funny.
Check your DMs.
Ah, sorry, wait. I need to go SH for a bit. You can go first. I have to stay either way. Gotcha. I got up going back to the server here. Alrighty, so I guess in this case I shall I'll start off doing 22 this time, I guess, since
You
I
can
might
just
as
go
well.
off, yeah.
Episode 22. Okay, this one's an interesting one. I mean, carrying off of the last one, you think they'd slow down a little, and they do, but oh my god, the impact and the ramifications of this episode are pretty large. I mean, for one, Shao freaking Tucker is back, and he's just as creepy as ever. The state military there, Greed's back. We see where Kimberly's been all this goddamn time. Iron Blood Alchemist just locked up all these people in this place, including Kimberly, might I add. And Ed's here in front of this transmutation circle, and he has no clue what the fuck it's gonna do until afterwards. Now, obviously, there's kind of a lot going on in this episode. I mean, there's lust, envy, and gluttony still pulling strings. Ed is just in front of this transmutation circle. Shao Tucker's there. Honestly, God, so much for honestly, I cannot begin to imagine what is going through Ed's head at this moment. I mean, literally, if he activated that transmutation circle, so much shit would have gone down. Owl is there. The Slicer brothers get killed by Lust. Scar, the state military come in. Greed. Like, honestly, there is a lot that happens in this episode. And oh boy, it's a pretty explosive way to conclude lap 5. Like, they really wanted this to be a major turning point, and they nailed it. And, like Tadashiki said earlier, it really does question, Ed's morality because, I mean, he himself kind of begins to question his mentality when Lust, Envy all reveal what that transmutation circle was going to do. And you can just see the horror in Ed's eyes when he realized, I could have just taken the lives of these people and not even knew it. Like, God, poor guy. So much has been going wrong for Ed, and this just, oh, like, way to get the sympathy in there. Anything else I want to add while I'm here? Actually, I will add a little on Kimberly here, since Kimberly is a character that, like Bradley, am ready. Okay, Kimberly, I'll just finish up this point really quickly. Kimberly is a character that was very different in '03 versus Brotherhood. '03 Kimberly, oh my god. '03 Kimberly is like really unhinged. He's way more douchebaggy, but
Yes.
I also kind of like that. I do prefer Brotherhood Kimberly as well, actually. I mean, he doesn't have the epic white
Okay,
hat and
that
coat, huh?
that is actually one of the two things I prefer about Brotherhood is Al and Kimley, actually.
Yeah, like what happened to Kimberly's white hat and coat? He's not even
Now,
wearing it here.
I will say, I do still really like Kimberly in All 3. I think he's got a very, I think he's pretty, like, he does the evil feel well. I, I think he's a good break away from when you don't have greed. I
Yeah.
think, I think it's good to have another character who almost kind of feels like he's taking his role in a way,
You
but
wanna know what's
also
funny?
feels connected at the same time.
You want to know what's really funny? This is the last thing I'm gonna say before I let you take the mic again. But even though I prefer Brotherhood Kimberly as a whole, I actually prefer the way he goes down in '03. I just love
Yeah,
Scar's line on him
satisfying.
when
Yeah.
he before he impales his chest, and that's, you say humans have no impact. Well, let's see how much of an impact I make on you. And he just just spears him through the chest. Like, God, I love that finisher so much. Like, it really does feel like the revenge Scar had finally wanted, and he got it. I mean, Kimberly still did the whole bomb thing, But god damn it, that's really fucking satisfying. I actually think that's a better final fight for Kimberly. Anyways, your turn on episode 22.
Use approving the entrance of Lab 5 to open the episode. Wow. I feel like that would be very out of place if Source Use was to do that, because it would be like, wait a minute, if I was just some wholesome dude, not someone who had authority in the military. That's an interesting thing that O3 does. Every military member gets more authority. You know, it's like they feel more intimidating because they're more powerful. Mm-hmm. They have higher positions than what they would have had in the Source.
Yeah.
And as a result, they are something to be admired but also feared. Yeah, and it creates a complexity that creates a flow that makes it more engaging for the audience. I am totally not seeing a bunch of buzzwords and pretentious words to keep the audience attention. No, not at all. Look at me, guys. I'm so funny. Anyway, yeah, Basgrand having the prisoners. Yeah, you said about that. I'm actually glad that you picked up on that.
All of a sudden, I have the footage on the side here to browse to jog my memory.
Although there are things that I want to talk about too. Ooh. I actually like the envy moments here of, you know, you are calling, you know, basically driving him to a boiling point, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're gonna have one character do it, it should be envy and not lust, because, well, it would be out of character for lust. Let's face it. I mean, if lust just went, "Oh yeah, you're a run or whatever," it wouldn't be the same.
Helps make envy more hateable, so at that point, I'll take it.
Well, I mean, you kind of need it to be that way, is the thing. So it's like,
on top of envy was impersonating Cornell this whole time, so this is the first we really get to see that side of envy. Now that I think about it,
yeah. So and also, by the way, I will admit, by the way, see that dub line of like, what was it? We're not asking, we're telling from Lust. Wow. What an upgrade.
My God, like, again, intimidation. They wanted to make them really intimidating, and god damn it, they did a really good job at it.
Also, Ed gets himself really beaten up here. Like, wow, he is definitely at one of his many low points here. Like, he is kicked to the ground by him.
I just want to mention this real quick because I forgot to mention it. You remember when you said like Lust was really intimidating? You know, we're not asking you, we're telling you. She kills the Slicer brothers, Lily, right in front of Ed's eyes, and then she puts her giant ass fingernails over to Al, and Ed's like, "That's my brother. You're gonna kill right there." Like, shit.
That was disgusting.
Like, literally, Al could have just had that blood seal erased, and Ed would be one brother short. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, although, would claws affect that?
Well, I mean, if she broke, probably, like, the blood seal, like, cut through it all the way, like, split the metal down the middle, yeah, I mean, that's how she killed, well...
I mean, yeah, but we don't know how ingrained that blood is, though. I mean, if it's like, because like the implication is like you don't really. Here's the thing: that blood could be physical to some things, but not in others. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, well, she does the Brotherhood example, so maybe that wouldn't apply here. Now that I think about it,
because it's like blood seals, you know, it's like I feel like everyone's blood, you know, it's like they work in different ways.
Well, wait, remember in Brotherhood though how Barry died? How like his body just smeared the blood on that one slab of metal, and that just caused him to go.
Yeah.
Like, I would think it would be very gentle, but who knows? Seeing as that's Brotherhood and this is 03, we don't know if the rules are the same. But that's the closest I could come up with.
I'm going off the guess that it would probably affect the blood seal since the claws are very sharp. And that's bound to do something, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
she literally
touching
impaled the
top
Slicer
of it.
brothers before, so
Yeah,
makes sense it would be able to impale all
yeah,
sorts of metal. It is
yeah.
called the
Like,
Ultimate Spear for a reason.
yeah, that would be consistent within its own world.
Also, I couldn't help
Um,
but notice, sorry, this is my last comment here. In Brotherhood, Lust's extendable fingernails, the ultimate spear, is her hand itself, but in O3, it's actually on top of her hand. Interesting decision they chose to make there when animating it.
yeah.
That's all.
Um,
Sorry.
I'm about to get to a really interesting, the really interesting part of this video, and um, so I'm gonna say, Homunculus, like they say a lot of things here. It's like it's very intriguing writing. The one reason why I don't give this episode a 10 either, by the way, is because the for one shot, they still bring back Al's memory stuff. They love reminding you of it. It's like, stop it. Like, yeah, this episode is phenomenal, and it's one of the best episodes of all three, without a question, but like, it's like, but
Like, why
I'm getting so
now? Why
tired.
now?
I'm getting so tired of Al's memory nonsense. And here's the thing, it doesn't add much new. They kind of just repeat the same thing. It's like, yes, Al has memories. Oh, memories. It's Al not having his memories is such a problem. Even though Al, honestly, like, didn't seem to mind up until that point, and now we're just having this forced drama conflict that goes nowhere.
Isn't Al like passed out for like a lot of this episode anyways? It's almost like they just did that to go, oh yeah, he's still
Yeah.
here. And I
Yeah, it's
don't know
like,
why they did that.
what is with that? Okay, so here's the interesting part, right? Okay, so I know that Avatar fans will probably find this interesting. I know that we both have issues with that, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey,
Um,
that's my quote. Hey.
but so Maria Ross, believe it or not, the Katara and Aang hug from Avatar. You know the one where
Oh, I
there's
knew you
like
were gonna
Aang
bring
has a
that up.
big.
The second I was looking through the footage, I knew you were gonna bring that up.
Yep. Aang has. Okay, this actually reminded me of this the first time, by the way. I actually could tell immediately um what Avatar, like, what this was that Avatar was trying to, emulate. And that's like, you have this massive, like, threat of like power, and it's like surrounding the character in question, but they all just, it all just gets settled down with just a hug. um Now, this did not. Okay, a lot of people will think this originated in Avatar. It did not originate in Avatar. It was this show. um this is exactly what that was trying to um put its spin on. And I'm not gonna lie, both shows do it well. But I'm saying that this is where that came from. Is you have this big thing, that will probably hurt you, by the way, and the the female character puts themselves in harm's way to, you know g- give the MC a, it's like everything's gonna be all right, and it's just like, it's a very, it's a very special feeling, because you
It's
get
simple,
like,
but it's powerful.
I wouldn't call it simple. Like, you have like, because you have so many layers to it. Like, it's like, the layers are that you have, like, you have all of these elements. Like, you have the protection, but you also have, like, it's dynamic. That's what it is. It's Ed, in this instance, is like, but like, but it's like Maria Ross is like, here's the thing. We didn't know much about Maria Ross up until this point. And it's very nice to see someone in the military care more than most of the other military members. Do you not remember what happened in episode 19?
Oh, I
He was
remember.
more compassionate. She was more compassionate than anyone else in the military towards the brothers, while also being a lot more concerned and afraid for them. Because remember that
The
she was the
closest
one that
besides
didn't want
Maria
Ed to
was
get in
probably Maze
harm's way.
Hughes, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Hmm?
The closest we got was probably Maze Hughes, but I mean, you probably already knew that.
Yeah, but he was kind of doing his own thing at that point, though. He
Well, there's
he,
also the
he would have
train
helped.
episode where he really helped out the brothers on the train, but it's been a while since then.
No, I'm saying he would have helped out anyone either way,
Yeah.
because that's just who Hughes is. Maria Ross is like you wouldn't think she would, but she did, because you didn't know much about her up until that point,
And
and as
honestly,
a
like,
result, this
especially with
feels
Ed
very
being in the
special.
state he's in, like, I mean, think about it. It's so funny. I feel like this is almost sort of a prelude to '03 Wrath, but think about just how drained of comfort Ed has been. I mean, he's literally been putting himself into danger so many times. And has Ed had any reprieve? Honestly,
Mhm.
very little. I mean, I know
Also,
Maria's not like his mother or anything, but like I imagine this probably flashed Ed in his mind back to the days when Trish was still alive. And it's sort of like that want, that need for someone to just say, it's okay, I'm here. Again, kind of a prelude to Wrath in a weird way. Because think about it.
also,
Hmm?
if anyone thinks that Avatar thing is a reach, by the way, there's comparison videos that put them side by side, and they are shot in the exact same way. By the way,
Well, how about that?
they are shot and structured and framed in the same way. It is very much intentional by the Avatar team. The Avatar team were taking notes from O3. Um, so for people who didn't know, that might be interesting. Remember, O3 has many unique things up its sleeve that no other show has.
Well, at the time, anyways.
Well,
I mean, in this
um,
particular instance, because.
I mean, it wouldn't really matter about the time though at that
Yeah,
point because
I just figured out.
that's where it originated.
Fair enough. Alrighty.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like no other show, whereas Avatar was emulating, so it was like another show.
Fair enough.
And not trying to downplay anything, but it's like that's where it came from. So I'm just saying, like, O3 is the root of origin for many things that you wouldn't think were the root of origin. O3 is a lot more special than it's made out to be, and I'm tired of people pretending like it's not important to the anime community. That is the problem I have. The problem isn't that I hate. I don't have a problem with people not liking O3 or hating it. I have a problem with people not acknowledging its existence.
Yeah. It really does feel like '03 keeps drawing the short stick just because of Brotherhood. Just, God, honestly, where is the goddamn review bombing against Brotherhood? Where is all that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. People have tried, like Mal, and taken it.
Oshinoko beats Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Oh no, we have to review bomb this to get us back at the top. God,
It's like every single show that
it's
gets
so mindless. It hurts
oh
even me, a
yes,
guy who normally doesn't care
FMAB
about that sort of
is
thing. It hurts even me.
it's like FMAB is the perfect show. It's the cream of the crop. Here's the thing. People actually think there is a logical explanation for everything in that show, and they think that it is like they think there's no issues with it, like at all. They think Arkawa's writing is that perfect. I'm not even kidding.
No, I've heard, and it's like, look, Brotherhood has good things going for it, but I'm not going to act like it's perfect because it's most definitely not.
Here's the thing, Ofri's my favorite anime, and I acknowledge its issues. I think
Forger's
that
love.
I think there are
Baja
evident
Hall's a stupid name.
problems. I think there are evident problems throughout Ofri's story. I think what it does though is it makes a very it excels simplicity with like effectiveness for like almost every episode. I think it makes it worth it in a way where I'm almost never underwhelmed. The problem is that there are a few sections of the show where I'm like, this has more problems than usual. Like the Lab 5 arc. There's the part with there's a part later on with Hohenheim and Dante that I don't think is as tightly written as some of the other stuff, but I'll get into that later.
Not forget Al's
Although,
Identity Crisis, which is not
which,
good.
by the way, this is coming from someone who is an O3 Hohenheim apologist, by the way, just putting that out there, just in case anyone who's watching this is going like, oh yes, yet another guy who's complaining about the Hohenheim and Dante plotline. I'll get there. Don't worry.
Oh, we
There's
will.
there's there's things. It's not a simple topic to talk about. But anyway.
23.
So 23, yep. Yep, I was about to say that too. Okay,
Oh
so
boy, here we go
this
with Al's
episode.
Identity Crisis. Here we
Okay,
go.
I will start talking about it because I'm not gonna lie, I used to like this episode. In fact, when I made the Twitter thread, I thought it was okay. But do you know what? My opinion is actually worsened on this episode. In fact, I might like episode 24 more, an Inoue episode. I'm not even kidding. Although I will say that episode 24's flashback is worse than anything in this episode. Now, I will say, I can see what this episode was going for. I think they were definitely on to something, for sure. I think the arc is conceptually good. There's just a little issue. The argument makes no sense. He's all like,
I'll
you
drink my
didn't.
milk.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing. This is definitely melodrama, but here's the thing. O3 gets a lot of criticism for melodrama throughout the story. This is one of the only times where I agree with it. Because this definitely is that, in my opinion. I mean, here's the thing. Al literally waits for Ed to say it. He waits for Ed to have a slip up so he can start shouting and bawling at him. I'm like, no. Here's the thing. I will admit, Al is not tied to some of the smoothest writing decisions in O3. It's one of the reasons he's one of the only two characters I prefer in Brotherhood. And this is basically the main one. It's just like, bro, like getting mad over nothing and dragging that out for like half an episode, dude. That's what this episode is. Now, I will admit, by the way, the Maze Hughes scenes are phenomenal. They were some of the best Maze Hughes scenes we've seen yet.
What's not to love about the dude?
Yeah, I mean,
Literally, if
who's gonna
anyone
complain
says
about
Mace
Maze
Hughes is
Hughes?
unlikable, they're lying.
Honestly, I think honestly, I've not seen a single person dislike Maze Hughes. I've
Literally,
not
who
actually.
doesn't? Like, he's just such a likable bloke.
Yeah, I honestly just think he's really Chad, like a really nice guy. So and then you get some. Honestly, even though it's funny, Winry is actually pretty good here. She's the voice of reason. She, for all of the complaints about Winry, I'm shocked that she's actually the good part of this plot, where she's actually making it seem like fucking human storytelling. um, And also, her looking, looking after Alicia and stuff, very wholesome, very nice. Oh, Hugh's cleaning his glasses, also being all like dad-like. Oh, so good.
Hey, Winry, have you seen my daughter? And Winry's like, oh boy, he's doing the thing again.
Yeah. Also, the gun thing in both versions, I'm like, gee, you really went that far. There were
Hands
children
off
in the
my
room.
daughter! Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
So okay, and then there's the end scene, which is the emotional climax to the drama arc, and then they're all like, "You want to know what's really done?
What?
Instead of having an argument and talking it out like normal people, like in the source, what this does is really strange. Al just jumps off a building. I mean, I get that it's metal, you're made of metal, but it's still like a body. Like, come on, man, have some respect for your like
What the hell do you
sanity
want
here.
me to do? Jump off a building?
But it's like Al, like, it makes me wonder what else can Al do in O3. Like, geez, he must be superhuman level at this point. I wonder why he ever complains. I'm like, okay, that's about me done. Honestly, it really does just come down to like the fact that I do not buy into the whole argument at all that Al has at all. And Ed is just sitting there. Here's the thing. Ed is completely selfless in this situation. He's actually going out of his way to like really help Al, and then Al just waits for him to have a slip up, and then it's like, yeah, I haven't had your milk yet, and it's like, and then he has a tantrum over that, and I'm like, here's the thing, right? This wouldn't be an issue. This would actually be well written, right? If we didn't have 20 episodes beforehand of him being like not having these drama conflicts. This came out. This came completely too late, completely out of nowhere. It wasn't built up in any way. It was just needless. It sucked in the source, and it sucks here too. But yeah, that's my rant over. You go.
Well, honestly, I got nothing to comment on here. I mean, I talked about Maze. I know very much that Al's identity crisis sucks. And hey, that's more proof that Brotherhood is not perfect because it sucks there too. Winry, yeah, I got no problems with her.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm really struggling to think of anything to add in on this one. So
It really does just come down to that Al is just, he doesn't see everything. Like, Ed and Munry, they are going out of their way for him. They have done so much for him. They have helped him on so many occasions. And here's the thing: while it would have been human writing for like, you know, to have this kind of conflict, the problem is that it's not handled with any writing grace at all. Like, it's not like there is no deeper purpose to it. It's just
on top of it
them
being
repeating
over
it.
really quickly, like they really quickly tried to sweep it under the rug.
And it's like, it's even more pointless at that rate. It's like, at that point, it really was just a forced drama conflict that I was decided to focus on. And honestly, as a result, I'm not going to lie with you, even though the Lab 5 arc is technically pretty awesome, I might be a bit of surprise some people. And it's funny saying this because I still think half of the episodes are phenomenal. But I think this is one of the low points of all three. Yeah. Like, see, as a binge, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is my least favorite set of episodes to watch compared to any other part of all three. This is my least favorite part of the story to watch because of this.
Well,
Makes sense?
yeah, I mean, I got nothing more to comment on. Pretty straightforward to
And
me.
also, last thing is that Lab 5 is so aesthetically pleasing in 22. Like, wow, that looks creative, visually
You could make a
stunning.
haunted house out of this
Purple.
place.
Yeah, like the purple twin color. Yeah, and also, by the way, Ed getting injured, by the way, twice, both by the homunculi and also getting. By the way, the deviation this made was, you know, going to the hospital, but he doesn't go to the hospital for the same reason as in the source law. He goes to the hospital because he lost his limb due to the acid, which did not happen in the source.
Mm-hmm.
That was unexpected because seeing Brotherhood, right? They just end up in hospital. It's not like they don't have any limbs lost or anything. They just end up there. But giving it a reason now, that's creative. That is really, and also like Ed brutal, like the gore effects there, gruesome. Like they really wanted to make sure you're feeling the tension when you see Ed, like all battered up like that by the homunculus, and then tore them, tore one of the limbs, but obviously got it healed after. Must have took some time. Like, obviously, it isn't fully shown because it's a story, and
All right.
it has to
Anyways,
tell a
now we gotta talk
story.
about episode 25 because we're running a little low on time here, so we gotta wrap this up pretty quickly now.
Hmm?
We're gonna move on to episode 25 because we gotta wrap this up pretty quickly now.
That was quite rude. I was still talking about this.
I'm sorry. Go on.
I'm actually waiting on you bringing up any points.
I said before I have nothing to add, so I
Well,
mean,
like the whole thing is that like I just made like really interesting points, and I'm shocked you have nothing to say about it.
it's not that I don't have anything to say about it. I mean, it's just I have nothing more to add on. Anything I could say would honestly just be repeating a lot of what you said. So, I
Well, I mean,
mean, in the
like,
sake of this
okay,
being a
hold on.
podcast, I just don't want to sound redundant, is all.
Well, hold on. Like, I don't think you get that. Like, hold on a sec. What were we talking about again? No,
We're
no, no.
talking
I
about
want to know
how
what were we
Purple
talking
Room
about
5
again.
had a really good aesthetic, the Purple Room, how they really wanted to make Ed feel like he was getting hurt and it was tense. I was paying attention, see?
Yeah, like the thing is that like again, like Ed, I'm trying to ask you if you didn't notice that the owls, if you noticed that through watching the show, that is, that Ed got brutally injured in that episode.
I mean, yeah, I did. He was
Well, I
actually
mean, not
bleeding.
just to do with the acid, of course. There was also the envy stomping on him.
Well, not only that, but keep in mind, that was after he already was bleeding, got exhausted from the Slicer Bros. He
Yeah, the
probably
Slicer
used a
brothers.
lot of his stamina doing the alchemy. There was the thing where he turned all blue and Marius hugged him. Like, Ed got put through the goddamn ringer here, and it was back to back.
Yeah. So, episode 25.
Alrighty.
Ready? Okay. Um,
Oh no.
so,
Oh
okay. I want to mention
no.
actually, I do actually have a few iffy moments about this episode. I don't think it's as tightly written as some of the other episodes. I will explain that shortly.
Okay.
I think this episode is definitely a return to form for the quality, like it's like we're finally back to peak O3, and it's like, because, we're finally past the Aldi tour and all that. And so Hughes, okay, I like the decision, by the way. They made Hughes have a different outfit early on. He also punches Roy's face, by the way. Um, just I feel like a lot of people forget about that, but yeah, that happens. um, really weird. Uh, but also, you know, not that I have a problem with that. You know, it's just unexpected. um, but yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like the characters are talking here. Sloth.
Julia Douglas.
Girl who looks like Trisha, Juliet Douglas who looks like Sloth. Well, is Sloth, and then she appears, and then the characters are talking about, the Philosopher's Stone and everything, and it's like, I feel like this scene feels a little, I don't know, like it feels a bit questionable. Like, what are we just going to talk about the same things that we've read a billion times? I mean, yeah, sure, but Juliet spices things up, but all we're hearing about is Philosopher's Stone this, Philosopher's Stone that. It's like, not much to add with that scene. Very, very much just
I feel like they were
the
trying to follow
characters are
up
stalling
about the
for time.
Philosopher's Stone after Lab 5 when they saw what they had to do to create one, but I don't know. I feel like it was a bit mistimed here.
Yeah, I feel like they focused too much on that, and I feel like Juliet Douglas should have had, like more lines to say there, because it would have shaped up the repetition a little, and you don't get enough screen time to see with her as it is. Um, you know what I mean? Like, it's you don't get to see her this early on as so it's like you kind of you want more because it's intriguing. You want to see more.
Hmm.
Um, so like, and also they're frozen in gags in the train. Uh, very funny.
Hmm.
Also, glowing Kimley, by the way, like with that kind of 80s vibe aesthetic. Uh, with the purple, they've got like him in shading,
Hmm.
very well animated. Also, explosions, all free. You can never get enough all free explosions. Um. Oh, by the way, I do really like this whole like quote unquote deviation. But like these tents, right? Like,
Yeah, in the
um,
Ishvalan camp.
yeah, good way to separate yourself. Like, wow, like I actually thought this was really meaningful and well done. And it's nice to just see one of their places get invaded by a bunch of biker dudes. It's also a good, segue into Greed and Kimley,
Hmm.
who are gonna take up the focus for the next arc. So that's it's very much a stylistic decision.
Also just
And
shows just how badly the Ishvalans have it. I mean, meanwhile, the people in like the central city and the military people are living in nice stone buildings. And here, these people are living in tents that barely get them off of the dirt floor. Like you really feel bad for them here when you see they just live like this.
yep, and Hugh's death. Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial here. Um, I think none of the sources' deaths were earned. I think absolutely none of the source material's deaths were earned. And I think Ulfri's Hugh's death did it justice once and for all. Like I think having a lot more time for Hughes made it so that he's actually a proper, fully developed. He did everything he could for the plot. And honestly, I mean, he has so much screen time throughout too that it feels fulfilling. Like he was one of the most prominent characters up until this point, and you're at the midpoint. This feels like it's went full circle,
On top of
and as a
that,
result,
they don't even show the credits, just black screen and text. They wanted to make it feel
yeah.
like a moment.
Also, here's the thing: uh, the teary-eyed child. Yeah, yeah, I got a bit torn up at that. Where they dug
I
the
mean, really,
grave, and it's
who
all like,
wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
yeah. I mean, I think this is handled, very delicately. I think Ofri's tone lends itself very well to that. And I even like, the violin doesn't feel like overboard. It doesn't feel like it's, trying to like force emotions. It just
Oh,
happens naturally.
boo! Let me play you a sad song on the world's smallest violin. This is serious. I know, this really is the world's smallest violin. See? You ever seen that clip before?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
amazing.
like Ofri handles music editing in a way where it's never in your face. It's never a problem for the story's tone, and I think that's why a lot of people levitate towards Ofri soundtrack so much. I mean,
It's not as in your
like,
face about it. Like, they really know how to make it more subtle, and when the action scenes do kick in, they know how to still make it feel like retain the atmosphere without completely
um,
dropping the tone they had set before.
and like I said, like this is not an unpopular take at all. But
Yep.
I do agree with the consensus that Ofri has a far better soundtrack, and it's just I really do think it's one of the best soundtracks ever made. I
No clown
really do.
music.
Hmm?
No clown music. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ever since you brought that up, I can't ever unhear it that way. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard that song, I didn't think circus music. But when you pointed it out, I'm like, oh my god, it really is circus music, and I just
Yeah.
can't stop laughing over it. Ugh.
And maybe I'm about interested with this take, but I actually think if O3 ended here, it would have still been a complete and fulfilling story.
Eh,
I went there. Yeah.
I can't really confirm or deny this. A, because, well, that's clearly not what happened. And B, well, Ed and Al's quest wouldn't really have been fulfilled. But I mean, I guess if you really, really wanted to put your mind to it, yeah. But I don't really know, considering again, that's not what happened, and well, we got 25 more episodes after this, so there's that too.
You do realize I was trolling, right?
Well, you could have fooled me, because I fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
Although I will say, when I got to the end of 25, I was very fulfilled, though. I was very fulfilled. Like, I was like, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel even though a lot of things aren't like wrapped up, I'm kind of fine leaving it like this for a
It's a
bit.
good
Like,
stopping
sometimes I'll
point
take
if
a
you need to take a
break.
break. I can say that.
Yeah,
It's a good stopping point if you need to take a break.
yeah, yeah. It's I wouldn't go as far as to say it's complete Lamal because Homunculus still exists.
Homunculus and Anal are still nowhere closer to their bodies. The
Yeah.
Philosopher's Stone, Kimberly, Greed was literally only just introduced.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
the whole point of Ed and Al is that they need to separate because that's their arc.
Yep.
Okay, so and you know what? That actually about does it. I've discussed everything. Is there anything you wanted to say about 25? I do
I
think it's a
said a few things
little.
earlier about Maze Hughes. Obviously, I talked about, the music. Actually, I do want to say one thing. Well, Cheska comes back. I gotta say right now,
Yeah,
actually,
I
wait, I
noticed
do gotta
that.
say, I gotta say, I find it really clever how Maze Hughes just basically fired her and she didn't know, but he did it to protect her because he knew shit was gonna go wrong. And I gotta say right now, even though I think the funeral scene, like I like both versions of the funeral scene, both Brotherhood and No Threes, but I'll say right now, I much prefer the actual death of Hughes, when he's at the phone booth in '03. I mean, he quite literally did
Um,
everything right. I mean, for one, he saw through Envy's disguise. He knew Juliet. He literally knifed Lust in the forehead. Not a lot of other characters got to do that. And even though he shot Envy in the head as Maria Ross, he had no way of knowing Envy could regenerate. And well, we know what happened after this. But yeah,
I
they
mean,
really did a good job making it feel like Hughes had a chance, but he just didn't. Like, he literally did everything right from a logical and instinctual perspective, but he was just completely outmatched. And it makes that helpless death feel really, really defeating.
I mean, it's not just the death for me, actually, to be honest. I mean, see, okay, the funeral, okay, I I wouldn't change a thing about the way it happened in all 3, but I don't know. Like when I watch Brotherhood on revisits, I have to say, I like I get I just feel nothing. In fact, I feel like they aren't taking it very respectfully. I also don't like the violin they're using. I think it's way overboard. I think that the death is shown with no grace at all. I think that the kid crying and stuff,
Yeah.
like that made me feel nothing. That made me feel nothing there. I literally just was watching it, and I should, I should feel something, yes. Um, but it's like it's like the way it's done. I don't. It's not even like we got to see much of Mace Hughes up until that point, and it just feels like it goes in too quick. There's no time to breathe the funeral in.
Mm-hmm.
I like again. This is a problem I have throughout the entirety of Brotherhood. It's just fast, very fast,
Fair
and
enough.
like here's the thing: a lot of people think faster pacing equals better pacing. Faster pacing leads to a lot of things feeling rushed,
Yeah,
and
I mean, look
also,
at something like, you know what? I'm I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I already did. Look at Aincrad. It's fucking rushed. Like, and no, no, wait. Aincrad is rushed when it wants to be, but it's also too fucking slow. Never in between. Like, God. Fast is not always better. You're absolutely right.
and I want to mention that also that Brotherhood is not just a battle shonen. It is also like a. It has plenty of scenes that are supposed to be dramatic. They are supposed to be like they are supposed to be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of those. Until later on, this is why I think some of later Brotherhood is better, since it focuses on the action more, which is what it does better for me. Um, and but the emotional stuff, it's like there's no time, and like I said, that's
Especially when
why
you look back at '03 and you're like, well, they got it right before. What's going on here exactly?
well, I'm genuinely saying, honestly, no one said this before, but I'll be happy to say it. I don't think any of the deaths were earned in the source. Yes, even the manga, I don't think they were earned later either. I think they were really poorly handled. I think Arcavo made a great story for sure. Like the pure base, yeah. But the problem is that they're just some of the early stuff is just you need to have more of a grasp on your arcs. You have to make sure that when there's emotional scene, you need space for it. You
I
need
think the
like
only
breathing room.
death that I could maybe defend is Hohenheim's, but even then, that's at the
Oh, Hohenheim's.
literal end of the
Well,
anime, so that's the
keep in
exception, not the
mind.
rule, huh?
Okay, keep in mind most of the deaths are early.
Yeah, it's true.
Most of the deaths are good guy deaths. I don't think anyone's really gonna like here's the thing: when thinking about the homunculus, it's like, oh wow, yeah, they died. I mean, you kind of want them, you kind of want them to die because that's what the story wants you.
I mean, unless you're Greeling or Bradley, but I mean, even then.
I mean, well, Greedling doesn't even die in Brotherhood. He just becomes part of Ling.
No, but I mean, like when the father, well,
Hmm?
because didn't like father like tear him out and he vanished into the air, so he did die.
No, he exists within Ling. Why,
Oh,
Quinn?
okay.
How can you get this? No, 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 no. How can you get this wrong? He is literally in Ling at the end of the show. It was a very big part of the ending. Pay more attention, please.
I'm sorry, it's been years since I've watched Brotherhood. Cut me some slack.
Well, it's kind of important if you're going to discuss FMA. Just saying, this is why you should rewatch the episodes.
Okay, fine, I will. I'll lose my job. Watch all episodes. There, you happy?
Like, honestly, I think you should have more to say about O3 than you do, really.
Well, to be fair, I'm trying to let you do most of the talking. A, because you
I
really,
know,
really
but
want to do this. B,
I'm also not the best at creating points. Like, I need something to bounce off of as well.
well, I mean, to be fair, we were talking a lot in this stream. Literally, we are nearing the
Well, there's nothing I can do about
3 hour.
that now, obviously.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, anyways, okay. Anything else you
But
want to
yeah,
say before I close off the stream and inevitably hit the sack? Because I'm tired.
yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts are thus: um, Lab 5 is intriguing, but it's flawed at the same time. I It's still something I cherish deeply. I do think there are issues with it. Even though it does say episode 19 was underwhelming, I'm not sure how well that point would stick, by the way, because it's been so consistent that it's hard to tell sometimes. But from what I remember, there was just a lack of meaningful content there. However, very solid. All right, and also well animated. But anyway, that's basically me. If you have any closing thoughts, you say them.
Well, I'm Quinn866. Have a good one. And with that,